5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the October 6th, 2025 meeting of the Long Meadow Select Board. This is Select Board Vice Chair Vineet Hemavati. I'll be filling in for the time being until our Chair, Josh Levine, is able to get to the meeting. I will begin by confirming that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Dan Zorko.
Here.
Shelley Maynard DeWolf.
Here.
Andrew Lamb.
Here.
And Josh, do we have you on Zoom?
Maybe Josh will
Yeah.
join. All right, there we go.
All right, great. Glad to have you on board. And then staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Lynn Simmons,
Here.
Mike Barbieri,
Here.
Peggy Sheldon.
Here.
Thank you. This open meeting of the Long Meadow Select Board is convened in person and via Zoom webinar as posted on the agenda and town's website, identifying how the public may join. There is no chat or Q&A function. All of the materials for this meeting are available on the agenda posted on longmeadowma.gov. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I note otherwise. This meeting will feature resident comment. For residents attending the meeting in person, please raise your hand when we get to the comments section of the meeting and I will call on you to approach the microphone. For residents participating in the meeting via Zoom webinar format, please use the raise hand icon at the bottom of the screen. The meeting moderator will promote you to panelist, unmute you, and give you permission to speak. If you join the webinar by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute. Residents who wish to speak will identify their names and addresses only. Each individual is afforded 3 minutes for comments. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. If anyone in attendance is recording this meeting, please announce yourself now. Okay, great. And we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and now we'll move into Select Board announcements. The Community Preservation Committee is seeking new grant applications for possible consideration at the 2026 Annual Town Meeting. Applications should be received no later than November 13th. The committee has also voted to change their procedures to now accept applications twice per year and to accept progress report submissions on a semi-annual basis instead of quarterly. For additional information, please visit the Community Preservation Committee page on longmeadowma.gov. The Long Meadow Cultural Council seeks grant applications. The deadline to submit applications is October 16th. Mass Cultural Council funds and manages a network of 329 local cultural councils across the state, representing every city and town in the Commonwealth. Each council awards money based on individual community cultural needs, assessed and set by LCC members. More information about the application process can be found at longmeadowma.gov/civic-alerts. The Fall Special Town Meeting will be held on Tuesday, November 4th at 7 p.m. in the Long Meadow High School gym. The Select Board is set to close the warrant on October 20th. For additional information, please visit longmeadowma.gov/townmeeting. And finally, the town offices will be closed on Monday, November 13th in observance of Columbus Day or Indigenous Peoples Day. And with the conclusion of announcements, we will now move into resident comments. Is anyone here to make a resident comment? All right, whenever you're ready.
I just want to make sure I don't go over 3 minutes.
I've got my stopwatch running too.
You do. So, Article 4, $1 million revolving fund. Revolving accounts are for recurring revenues and expenses. Mass Division of Local Services appears to say a bylaw change is needed to establish this type of a revolver. In any event, this is taxpayer money. It should be used for any of the following: offset utility expenses, the original intent, deposit the money into a capital stabilization fund, and taxpayers decide usage on a 2/3 vote. Individual capital items are always approved by taxpayers at town meetings. Or third, set up utility stabilization fund. The low Constellation PPA rates will be rolling off to higher rates. And then the nuclear option. Either you or taxpayers at the town meeting can reduce taxes. Articles 15 and 17, Western Drive, they should come after each other. $11 million is huge money for a small street. In June, DPW had said the road was bad for years and was waiting to do water and sewer repair work. Road repairs and renovations are Chapter 90 taxes or bonding and should not be paid with water and sewer funds. Emerson Drive was recently done and separated the costs, and this is how all past projects have been done. Look at the select board town manager policies on water and sewer enterprise funds. Sorry, it's been a long day. Water enterprise funds are used for operations, repairs, and maintenance to the potable and firefighting water distribution center systems. Included in this category are repairs to the water tower. Not allowed use of funds, repair, maintenance, capital, or other expenditures that is unrelated to the potable and fire water. Need to bifurcate the costs. Water and sewer rates do not pay for asphalt paving and other related costs. Road repairs have nothing to do with providing water and sewer services and are not correlated to water usage. You've been concerned about water rates? How much further are you going to burden water and sewer? You're now seeing some of the behind-the-scenes detail that went into the invalid water and sewer rates approved on June 16th that was not approved at the town meeting in May. Article 1, $400,000 settlement. You should be prepared to give citizens background and answers. What was the logic of suing for $4.7 million of damages, spending $1 million on legal fees, and then settling after over 5 years for $400,000? I'm actually going to go back. Ms. Simmons did a great job of settling with the contractors on delayed damages, and work resumed after the former town manager left a disastrous situation. Article 8, firefighter overtime. Why are in April, the Finance Committee had the following issues, and we're told that's the
Got
way
about
it's
10
always been
seconds
done.
left.
Sorry?
About 10 seconds left.
Okay, why is EMT overtime requested in the May article similar to this article not being charged to the ambulance fund? And 2, why is the budgeted EMT overtime not being charged to the ambulance fund? Ambulance fund is supposed to be self-sufficient. I have faith in the fire chief. This is an accounting issue, but it should be charged to the ambulance fund, not being paid from free cash or regular town funds. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone
Next
else
week.
here for resident comment? I think you're all here for presentation, right? You're on the agenda later. Yep. Anyone online? No? Okay, great. Next up, we have board and committee interviews, and so we've got 3 interviews to conduct tonight. 2 for the Historic District Commission and 1 for the Audit Committee. So we'll begin with the Audit Committee. Tiffany Pignataro, if you can come up to the microphone. And thank you for applying for the Audit Committee. And if you could just begin by, giving us your name, your address, and
Yep.
just kind of a little bit about yourself and why you applied for this position.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Tiffany Pignataro. I live at 102 Academy Drive. I am a licensed CPA in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I started my career upon graduating college as an auditor with a public accounting firm outside of Boston, and worked 5 years in public accounting as an auditor and left as an audit manager. I then worked a few years at a publicly traded manufacturing company as a controller, and then left there to work in municipal government. And I am actually spent the last 5.5 years at the town of Ellington, Connecticut, as the finance officer and treasurer. So the audit committee is pretty much what I was put on this earth to do. Like it's municipal and it's auditing, so it's great. I think I have a lot of experience and background and different perspective that I can bring to the committee. I've also been excited to kind of get involved in Longmeadow, but with my schedule in Ellington, having to attend all the night meetings, I think this would be a low impact commitment that I could make to start getting involved and offer my expertise to a committee that might need another member. So.
Great, thank you. Any other questions from the board? Yeah, it's been kind of a ritual that the chair of the audit committee every year comes to us and says, we need more members to get a quorum. And now I think we might actually have a full audit committee.
Yeah, this is like my jam, so I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, and thank you for your time, obviously. I know it's a busy
Great,
agenda.
yeah, and thank you for applying, and we'll be voting on your appointment at our next meeting.
Thank you.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you, nice to meet you all.
All right, and next we have two folks that have applied for reappointment to the Historic District Commission, Ann Slick and Sarah Morgan. I see Sarah's online. I don't think I see Ann here.
Hi.
Hi, Sarah. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Great.
Just for some background, too,
Yeah.
if you don't mind. Sarah's actually a current member of the committee in an alternate role. They do not have a full membership right now because they had some people that had either stepped off the committee or they termed out. And so Sarah is switching or seeking to switch from an alternate member to a full-time member for a new term to end in 2028.
Great. Perfect. Thank you. And Sarah, if you could just begin by just giving us your name, your address, and just why you're seeking reappointment to the Historic District Commission.
Yes, so Sarah Morgan, 977 Long Meadow Street, and I've been on the committee now for about 1.5 years and absolutely love it. I love being involved in all the historic aspects. I have a historic home in the community, and it's just a pleasure to work with everybody and just make sure that we're following the rules and guidelines.
Great. Thank you so much. Any questions from the board?
No.
All right. That was easy.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us. We'll let you go, and we'll be voting on your appointment at our next meeting.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. And we'll follow up with Ann Slick to get her interviewed at a future meeting. And with that, we will now move into select board comments. Does anybody have a comment they'd like to make? Everyone's just gearing up for the long meeting. Oh, no, I think Josh, you got a comment?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to speak about the special town election last week. The town, I was very grateful for the select board and the town clerk and Lynn on working on getting the, having the early voting. It got over 700 people, which I was very happy to see. And then the election day itself was very smooth, had a lot of great volunteers, and I was really happy to see things work so well. And this was really a bit of democracy in action. There was two very vocal and advocates for yes and no. And I had a couple of chats with people on the day of that were still making their mind up, and I think that's the way it should be. And I'm very happy with how the vote came out. I'm looking forward to working with the other members of the middle school building committee on moving forward with a school that the entire town can be proud of. And I will just, my only disappointment is that I wish we had a bigger turnout. This is the most money the town has ever spent, and hopefully we'll have to spend for a long time. And I just wish we had more engagement. We had 27%, which is good. It's good for one of our elections, but overall, I just hope we can see more people out for future elections, especially on big ticket items like this. But that's it. Just thank you to everyone involved, and I appreciate everyone's hard work.
Great. Thank you, Josh. I can't believe that election was just last week. Okay. Nothing else from the board. We'll move into applications. I'll entertain a motion to approve the Longmeadow Adult Center Community Funds 2 applications for October 14th and October 30th.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor? Or actually, do we have to do roll call?
Yeah.
Because Josh, yeah, sorry. Sorry, Peggy. We got to do roll call.
Roll call. Anita Monty,
Yes.
Dan Zwerko,
Yes.
Shelley Mary DeWolf,
Yes.
Andrew Lamb,
Yes.
Josh Levine.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. And then we've got a road, a block party application. Do we have anyone from Falmouth Road to speak on this? No? Okay. All right, well, hopefully everyone's had a chance to review the application, so I will entertain a motion to approve the Falmouth Road block party.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All right, roll
Anita
call.
Monty,
Yes.
Dan Zwerko,
Yes.
Shelley Mary DeWolf,
Yes.
Andrew Lamb,
Yes.
Josh Levine.
Yes.
Thanks.
Great. And anyone here from First Church to speak on that application? Okay. If not, then I will entertain a motion to approve the First Church block party application.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, Peggy?
Stephanie?
Yes.
Shelley?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Andrew?
Yes.
Josh?
Yes.
Okay, great. Now we will move into presentations and guest speakers. So the first presentation guest speaker that we have on the agenda is from Fuss and O'Neill to present on the MassWorks grant design. So
So I can't know my
if y'all can grab a mic. Thank you all for joining us. You guys can, kind of get started whenever you're set, and if you're not planning to, just please introduce yourselves at the outset.
Sean, do you want any opening remarks or let us know?
You guys can go right ahead.
Mr. Vice Chair, thank you. Members of the board, good evening. My name is Nicholas Lapointe. I'm a project director with Fuss and O'Neill. With me I have Aaron Keegan, a project manager with Fuss and O'Neill. We're here on behalf of the Longmeadow Department of Public Works to give you a design update on the Williams and Bliss Road traffic circulation improvements, and specifically present to you a couple of concept alternatives that we have tonight. We're very enthusiastic and excited to share it with you. This is part of the MassWorks infrastructure grant that the town received related to the development of the Colvest parcel on Williams Street. And this is kind of the first design process to kind of get your feedback and hopefully get some consensus to move forward the design. So really excited to hear your feedback tonight. I think it's been a long time coming. So I'll turn it over to Aaron and he'll kind of run through our presentation and we can have an open discussion about it.
Thanks, Nick. Again, my name is Aaron Keegan, project manager of Fuss and O'Neill. I'll start by saying that we're really honored to be able to work on this important project for the town of Longmeadow. Next slide, please. A little agenda. We're going to go through the MassWorks program overview. Then we'll talk about the project purpose, the existing conditions. We have a couple of concept plans to show you and describe. Then we'll give you our opinion of construction cost and the project timeline. So, real quick, as many of you know, the MassWorks program is a state grant program that aims to fund infrastructure to support job-creating development. And the town of Longmeadow won a grant last year to support the infrastructure around the Colvest development at Bliss Road, Williams Road, and Redfern Drive. We are presenting tonight a project that the design was funded partly with that MassWorks grant. Next slide. So the first project purpose is to align with the goals of the MassWorks program, which is to build sustainable infrastructure around job-creating development. Also, another project purpose is that it aligns with the town's Complete Streets Priority Plan, which was passed last year. Project number 1 on that plan was calming and pedestrian and bicycle improvements at Williams and Bliss. And then project number 6 was safety improvements at the intersection of Frank Smith, Redfern, and Williams. So the MassWorks project that we're trying to design meshes really well with the priority plan. Also, the long-range plan that I know has been underway here at Longmeadow, it fits with the transportation and circulation section of the plan. There's 2 tasks that, task number 5, it is invest in new or enhanced bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure. That's exactly what this project is doing. And then task number 11, implement traffic calming. That's another objective of the project. Okay, so this slide shows roughly the design project area. The red outline is more or less the project limits. A fairly big area. We'll start on the right, page right. That is the signalized intersection of Redfern, Williams, and Frank Smith. It includes what we're calling the potential roundabout, which is today a stop-controlled intersection that's kind of a triangular shape in the center of the project area, just east of the Big Y gas station. And then we're calling the triangular circulation area, that's Bliss Road, Bliss Court, and Williams Road. And that today is, as you know, one-way circulation. And that's our project area. Next slide, please. Yes, thanks. A little about the existing conditions. I'm sure you're well familiar, but some of the things that are deficient about the infrastructure today, if we look at the intersection of William Street and Redfern Drive, the signal equipment itself is a little bit outdated. The pedestrian buttons, for example, the pedestrian ramps themselves don't quite meet current MassDOT standards. Next slide. Additionally, back one. So additionally, if we look at the cross-section of Bliss Road and William Street, it's a 2-lane cross-section at the moment, which is, 30 miles per hour speed limit. We find that the speeds, prevailing speeds are a little higher than 30. There's one particular dangerous situation for pedestrians that is a kind of a recurring safety concern. When you have a 2-lane cross-section, one way each direction, a pedestrian can step out, one vehicle can yield to the pedestrian. The next vehicle coming along sees a stopped vehicle but doesn't understand or see the pedestrian crossing, and then what happens is what we call a courtesy crash. So the second vehicle will sometimes hit the pedestrian because it was blocked by the stopped car. So that's been a concern. Additionally, on Bliss Court Road, you have this kind of merging area that we would call a weave. You have people turning left on Bliss Court, people turning right from Bliss Road, and they're trying to change lanes and at speed. So that can be a sideswipe situation. So getting to our first concept, the first part of the project, we have redesigned the intersection of Redfern, Frank Williams, and William Street. And two of the big safety upgrades that we're presenting here, every movement will have an exclusive left turn lane with an exclusive signal phase, a protected signal phase for that left turn movement. So that's going to be a big safety improvement. It's going to reduce the severity of crashes. Right now, if you turn left, you have to yield to oncoming traffic. There's no exclusive left turn phase there. Also, this phase, this concept includes 8-foot shared use paths at the perimeter of the intersection. So it could be used for a shared use bike path off-road. Right now, there are no bicycle accommodations at the intersection. Last thing is it would include safety timing upgrades. So depending on the new development that happens at that corner, we can retime the intersection to optimize decrease the delay, optimize the performance. All right, so back one slide, please. The alternative number one. Back 2 slides. Thank you. That one. All right, so now we're moving on to kind of the middle of the design area. You can see in the center where there's currently a stock-controlled triangular intersection, we've placed a single-lane roundabout. We found that it fits pretty well, and it performs very well in terms of traffic operations. And what you're going to get for a roundabout there is reduced crashes, less severity of crashes. You won't have T-bone crashes. Every vehicle is moving in the same direction. It's going to be a lot safer for bicycles and pedestrians. And so that's an option for you at the center of the project area. Moving on to Bliss Road and the cross-section of Bliss Road and alternative number 1. Oh, back one, please. So the cross-section of Bliss Road in this alternative is kind of the least impactful in terms of changing from what's there. We would essentially keep the 2-lane cross-section at a bike lane on the road with no buffer and keep the existing curbs the same width as today. So this is a little lower cost. It doesn't go all the way in terms of the potential safety changes that could be made, but it's an option for you. You can see at the intersection of Bliss Court and Bliss Road, we haven't changed it too much. We're adding a truck apron that a truck could pass, but a vehicle would be discouraged from going over. We're narrowing the lanes for regular vehicles in an attempt to calm traffic, lower speeds. So it is an upgrade. We have raised crosswalks to help slow vehicles down and increase yield rates at the crosswalks. But more or less, the 2-lane cross-section and the intersections at Bliss Court and Bliss Road are somewhat similar to the way they are today. Moving on to alternative 2. So this is,
if I could just add, that's like the bare bones option. Really minor work. You do get a shared use path in front of the tennis courts too, which I think is closing an important network gap and some sidewalks along Big Y. But we call option 1 is, other than the roundabout, it's very non-invasive, not a lot of change for the town.
thanks, Ian. Back to option 2 for a moment. Back one slide.
Okay.
Yes, so option 2 would be more transformative. So we're going to a one-lane cross-section in this alternative on Bliss Road and on Williams Street. The one lane is sufficient for traffic circulation. You will get a lower speeds. It'll be a narrower feel to it, but it is still enough capacity for the traffic that's there. We are putting a separated bike lane. So this bike lane is actually 6 inches elevated at curb height, and it's separated from the travel lane. So that's kind of the most safety you can provide for bicyclists. Of course, the sidewalk remains where it is now, separated from the bike lane, closer to where the shop's parking lot is. You can see at the intersection of Bliss Court and Bliss Road, we're introducing a different kind of geometry here. This is what we would call kind of like half a roundabout. Now, what this is going to do is you'll have to actually yield to traffic there. So it isn't going to produce the kind of weaving movement. One car will yield and allow the other to go through. You don't have to stop there if there's no vehicle there, but it's a safer kind of design, and we think that it'll calm traffic and reduce crash rates, reduce side swipes. Again, there's a shared use path on Bliss Court in front of the tennis courts, and on Williams Street we have one lane all the way to the roundabout. Moving on to alternative 3. So this alternative, it shares the same cross-section on Bliss Road, so that's one lane. We've got the separated bike lane. The difference here is that we've kept the triangular intersection at the center of the project area. We've got Williams Street is one lane, but then it opens up to 2 lanes to give you that extra left turn lane as you're getting to that kind of triangular intersection in front of the gas station. So this is sort of a hybrid of 1 and 2, if you will, keeping the intersection at the center of the project area similar to what it is now. Again, raised crosswalks, so you're definitely going to get some pedestrian safety improvement here. We do have some separated bike lanes. It's just that the intersection remains similar to what it is today. Okay, so let's move on to opinion of construction cost. For the signalized intersection, so this is just Redfern, Frank Williams, and the William Street intersection. So that's 1 to 1.2 million, depending on the selected lane configurations. The triangular circular improvements, so that's Bliss Road, Bliss Court, and William Street. That alone would be, option 1 would be more like you're in the 1 million range. In option 2 and 3, you'd be getting more towards the 2.5 million. So to really transform the cross section of the road, alternatives 2 and 3, it would be more costly, than alternative 1. And then the roundabout is kind of an add-on. We think it has a lot of value, but if you were to include the roundabout with the overall design, you're looking at adding a 300 to 600K, extra. We have to add that's a lower price than if you were to do the roundabout by itself or later on as part of a different project. So there is kind of economies of scale of adding the roundabout to the overall project. So we're looking at back one slide. Thanks. The combined total, you're looking at 2.3 to 4.3 million. And as we understand it, this is a MassWorks construction grant that the town is interested in applying for, in addition to other possible funds. I'll let Sean speak to that, but I do want to add that the cost that we're showing doesn't include any simultaneous utility upgrades, which the town could pursue, together with this project. For example, stormwater or sewer, you could upgrade that at the same time while everything's under construction if you choose. So.
And the MassWorks program is typically up to $5 million. So strategically, this project has kind of been created for that, should the town pursue that on its own. And also to add that roundabout, that's a very good deal. I mean, if you do that by yourself, it's like 1.5 million, so it's like half off. It's quite a savings to include that now rather than go back and do that later just because of utilities and the mobilization. Just add that.
Thanks. Okay, and I believe this is our last slide. It just gives you a sense of the project timeline. We've gone through 25% design, or I'm sorry, pre-25% design. We have concepts. We have full size concepts you can look at more closely. And what we're looking for is a preferred alternative to move on to 25% design. And we are scoped to finish 25% design this year. We would then move into 75% design in winter of next year, February of 26. We're aiming to wrap up and have bid-ready documents by April of next year. And that would give you a chance to apply for the MassWorks construction grants, which would be in May of next year.
Great.
Okay, that's it.
This is great. Thank you so much. And Sean, do you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, just as backup, we're looking for the preferred design from you guys, and this will likely be the only MassWorks grant we're ever able to apply for because this is driven by growth from businesses. So this is a unique opportunity to apply for this grant, probably one time.
Okay, got it. Great, thank you.
And just if there is a chance we could apply for the full grant and would not be awarded all of it, in which case there had to be a decision made if we were to take another funding source like Chapter 90 or our town's capital funds to pivot in to cover any deficit. We might get all of it, but just be aware that is also a possibility.
Okay, so it's not all or nothing. They could say we were going to
Yes.
fund a certain percentage. Okay. Great, thank you. All right, any questions from the board?
Great presentation, thank you. So obviously we have the shops there on both sides, Big Y, the gas station. Would there have to be any changes to the curb cutouts with any of these options that we're talking about?
Well, so the first option, no, we would keep the curbs the same width. With options 2 and 3, you would see a change in the curbs. It would be a little bit of widening, and plus there would be that bike lane kind of just elevated. So there would be more road reconstruction with 2 and 3.
And no closing of driveways, so Posto, Lola's, that would all, those egresses, access points would all remain as we're not
Gotcha.
proposing any access management.
Yeah, because I'm looking at, where Lola's is or Friendly's years ago, when you're pulling out there, that's where the rotary.
Right, that one, we're putting a splitter element, I believe, at there to help kind of clean that up a little bit, but we're not going to shift that over as part of the roundabout, because it's mostly right-in, right-outs. That one would probably be the most impacted, but generally the footprint would remain the location.
That is a high accident cluster area as well.
Yeah, because you have the
Yeah.
gas station
So
right there.
we would
you
be
have,
fixing that accident cluster with this.
Yeah, because you'd be pulling the gas station out of that kind of integration, that conflict point there, and you'd have to go around the circle, and then really you'd only be, as you pull out of Lola's, you're only really just looking at people coming down William Street, versus now you're kind of looking at gas station, Williams. It's a little tricky now, so that would be an improvement.
And then for number 2, you call it like a half roundabout.
Mhm.
So I'm guessing that would help. I see a lot of people go the wrong way sometimes. They're turning down from Big Y to go down Williams. Yeah. So I think that would cut that off. Is that what you're referring to?
It would be harder to make that mistake.
Yeah, much harder. I mean, you'd be like
Mhm.
stuck, or you'd have to go like around almost. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Andrew?
Thanks a lot. This is very interesting to all of us. We're also intimately, knowledgeable about. Any resident in town knows this thoroughfare very well. Just some initial thoughts. I think and questions. The intersection at Williams and Redfern. I think that sound made a lot of sense. I think regarding the roundabout, I wonder, do we know what is the police reports as far as like accidents at that spot? Like, we're all so familiar with it. I've never really seen an accident there, but like, is that something that we think is a very high collision spot? Like when you're maybe turning around, I mean, that's all you can really do, turn around basically. Is it because maybe people don't yield?
Speaking to the data, I don't have it in front of me. I can get that for you. I can say it's not a high rate, but there's enough there to be concerned. It is a conflict point, and again, not to be dismissive. 3 weeks ago, we had a girl hit on the sidewalk in front of Lola's. She was traveling eastbound on the sidewalk on her bike, and someone was coming from, at that point, looking to go straight across into the Lola's parking lot, and the operator was looking right to see if she could do it.
I see.
The traffic, and by doing so, she wasn't cognizant of traffic.
What's in front of her? She was looking right, not in front.
Correct. So, not to use that one instance.
Yeah.
To be the catalyst for this, but because it's so topical and so recent, that's what comes to mind. And we see a lot of that. I think a lot of times people are looking straight ahead or looking right and not seeing what's happening here. But if you'd like, I can certainly.
Yeah, I think that would be very valuable. I mean, I'm very, well aware of the benefits of roundabouts and how it's much less fatalities when you're moving at a slower speed. It will slow things down, and I think that before we decide on what to put there, we should know what the data really is. Because frankly, in a roundabout, the benefit of roundabouts is not that you have fewer collisions, I believe, it's that they're at a slower speed. So you're still in a situation where you're looking to oncoming traffic to see when you can enter and not necessarily looking ahead. You could do something like, very, very regrettable, of course. So I think that would be really interesting to see if there's accident spots right at that spot. I really like knowing this idea of the courtesy crash term, because I have personally been very concerned about that spot for a while. I've personally seen, exactly what you described. One person stops, and then the next car comes by and almost hits like a kid. So it sounds like, so I was keen to see what solutions there are for that situation. And it seems like the solution is literally just one lane. Is that basically the only thing that we can think of for that? Because one lane will slow, I don't live on that side of town, but I'm sure in the mornings, there's a ton of people trying to commute coming from East Long Meadow. It will get congested. If we introduce a half roundabout, that yields. I'm kind of concerned just from, this first we really heard of all this, but just off the top of my head, will it slow the egress from that road and then start backing up down in front of the shops all the way back to the next the intersection behind? So regarding the courtesy crash, are there any other thoughts on how one can eliminate that or reduce that risk? Like, do we already have a blinking light there? Or I'm not sure we do.
So there are two things that you could do: the raised crosswalk, that's going to increase yield rates, and even the second car coming who may not have seen the pedestrian,
slow for the speed bump.
they'll slow down a little bit. And then the rectangular rapid flashing beacon, which is the pedestrian presses the button and you get the flashers.
Right.
So you can do both of those things. Those are, proven safety countermeasures for pedestrians. Even with the 2-lane section, that will give you some more safety, enhancement.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, Sean, do you think that just knowing that spot, if we drop to one lane and put in a half roundabout, that's going to slow the traffic and back it up in the mornings?
I would doubt, given the numbers, but I don't have the data in front of me. We do have pretty good numbers from the school study and the new one happening at the developer, so we could probably talk and discuss whether or not there would actually be.
Your guys' take on that.
My guess is it would have less of an impact as you would think, because even though the cars are slowing down, they're not stalling trying to wait for twos to merge, so you're still going to keep moving, I think. But I prefer that the professionals weigh in rather than me just
Yeah,
give
I'd
my
love to get everyone's your expertise, but also our town's experience with on the ground what's been happening. I mean, I do think the weave those of us who have taught our kids how to drive in this town, that's definitely one of those moments where you're like, okay, let's game this out before we actually do this for the first time. But I mean, I think that this is a nice way to solve that issue, but we just want to make sure we don't have any unintended consequences from it.
So we'll get back to you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the roundabout too. I live in town. I live on Pinewood.
Oh, great.
The roundabout I see is a really big gateway feature as well, not just from the traffic. Regardless of the data, we'll get you all that. I think it's a nice spot to really calm people as you get into the circulating around Big Y. Right now, you can kind of just fly right through there. So I think there's a lot of non-measurable benefits of that roundabout at Lola's that are beyond that. I think there's a lot of near misses as was mentioned, and I think it's going to solve that. But I think you get a lot of space back in front of Big Y for landscaping and other pocket park opportunities, room for bikes and pets. There's a lot of other benefits of that roundabout to consider.
Actually, can we go back to the slide just so you can talk about the green space that would be gained to? I don't know which slide that would be.
The town owns all of that, and it's all public right of way.
Was it slide 1 or 2?
Which slide?
Next slide, please.
So it's just an interesting feature that you end up with a roundabout, but there's like a little park created between the gas station and the new intersection that doesn't exist now. This would be a space you could actually hang out. It also gives pedestrians a place to rest in between crossing the intersections.
Yeah, we are proposing, there's no crosswalks there now. I think that's kind of a long gap between, like if you're at Redfern, you have to walk all the way down to Big Y in front of Max is to cross. So that's a long stretch of not being able to cross between Big Y So we're proposing crosswalks at Lola's, or at this new roundabout that will safely be able to get you across. I think that's a huge benefit, and there's an opportunity for park. You could put a monument or a number of different features in that space.
And that crosswalk goes from the Lolas to the other.
Yeah, it'll cross to TD Bank, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, because there are a lot of people that cross there.
Yeah.
The other thing not shown in here that needs to be added once the preferred design has come up with this new lighting, a lot of the area doesn't have lights on the crosswalks, and we need to be cognizant of that and add some in some places that doesn't exist.
Yeah, there's the shops lighting, which is proposed to be retained, and even that sidewalk is in great condition. Even that whole tree belt, keep that, but then adding some more, that lighting is not sufficient for the street or for the pedestrian, some of the pedestrian systems, so we would want to look at that for sure. John, yeah?
Keep going.
Keep going.
Keep going, maybe 13, sorry.
13?
Yeah. Okay, so the area that Sean was mentioning, if you look at the roundabout, you can see the distance between the shared use path that's on the left-hand side of the roundabout and the property boundary of the Big Y gas station. So there's a gap there, and that could be, yeah, you can go ahead and point at it. And so that's,
Here's the nose, this is the nose of the gas station right here. And the town owns almost all the way back to here, this red line, so there's a very large area in here.
So the town owns part of their parking lot.
No, the parking, yeah, it's like the bumpers are basically touching the town property.
Can you
Yeah.
delineate where the current road is that curves around?
Sure, the current road is here.
I see. So the roundabout is further down to the east.
Exactly, yeah.
I see.
This is Lola's current driveway, we're retaining that. And so here's the current left
Yeah.
and through, so you're taking that whole, all
Yeah,
those
that
pavement
is a
turning
tricky
radius.
spot because people are coming towards you from your right.
This is the park.
And then
Exactly, so this is, now you're forcing them to go around and enter the stream of traffic. So all you're doing now is you're just looking right
Right.
through. You don't have to worry about any of this anymore.
Interesting.
And
Yeah, so some of this is à la carte too, so you can take, if you don't like this, you could kind of take that out and put back or keep, same thing up here. So there's certain things that you could do with these different options here.
And does the third alternative have that same layout for that roundabout?
yes.
It does, okay.
Slide number?
Okay, next one.
Yeah,
14.
that's interesting that you brought that up. We were waffling with this. There is an option to also put to kind of, if you could visualize a circle right there in that triangle,
Sorry, 12.
you could keep that bottom lane, and it could be a right turn only lane into TD. I guess, yeah, it would look just like number 12. You could also keep a lane that goes into TD Bank, kind of
Can you
into
move that one?
Jersey Mike's.
To where you moved. Is there a way, we must have done a zillion traffic studies lately, especially with the school and stuff, but my concern, is there a way to quantitate, so there's traffic from East Long Meadow commuting in the
Mhm.
morning, there's school all going to the high school from this side of town, to the new middle school in the future from this side of town, where basically the roundabout will slow things, very advantageous, but also it's gonna slow things. Then this is gonna be one lane instead of two lanes, it's gonna slow things, and then
Mhm.
this is gonna slow things right here. So I'm just wondering if there's a way to quantitate, knowing how much traffic goes through there every day,
Yep.
what's gonna happen.
So we have the data for option where number 1, the signal, the roundabout. I don't believe we analyzed this, Aaron, yet. So you're right, because right now you can kind of just whip around and go here, or you can whip around and go straight. Now, if you're combining those two volumes into a single lane, however, it's still free flow. So you're not stopping
Yeah,
when
it's
you're
a
going.
yield.
So, no, you're just going straight through.
Oh, sorry,
and
but the left.
This way is still a free flow. Bliss Road yields. So that's the-
Bliss Road is the
Bliss
one that
Road will
yields.
yield. So the
I see.
circulation remains
Okay, I didn't realize that.
unaffected.
Yeah.
So from a traffic flow,
I
that's
see.
good. This is, we do have the level of service on that, and we do have the volumes here. Typically, one lane can take 1,460 vehicles per hour at a free flow speed. I think it's like 45 miles an hour, which is this not. So I can't remember what the 30 mile an hour speed is for one lane, but it's a lot of cars.
Okay.
way more than is out there. I believe the peak hour volumes are like 700 cars an hour through there.
Yeah.
So we're looking at being able to handle more like 900 with one lane. So we have two lanes.
Sorry,
now.
900 as opposed to, what did you say before? What was the number? No.
So one lane, and I have to double check the numbers.
Remind me, yeah.
I'm
It's what you just said.
pretty sure it's 900 vehicles per hour per lane. So we have two lanes, that's 1,800 vehicles an hour.
And your sense is that we don't have that? This
We don't
is
even
not
have
even
close to that. No,
okay.
I think the average daily traffic on that road, Aaron, is what, like 7,000? And then the peak hour, it's like 700.
Yeah, Williams is about 5,400, and then, Williams is, 5,400, and then Bliss is 8,000.
So
Yeah, okay.
that's 8,000 a day. So during the
Right.
peak hour, we look at the peak hour condition.
Much less than per hour.
Which would
obviously,
be more in the 700 vehicles an hour. So two lanes is like dramatically over capacity
yeah. I see.
from just a pure level of service for the vehicles. But there's perceived congestion, right? People feel like, oh, the lines are, there's a little more cars on the road. That will feel, but from an actual analytical standpoint.
Yeah, that's exactly what we need
Yeah.
your expertise for, because
Yep.
that's exactly my
And we can get you all that.
novice thought.
Yep.
When we're just looking at this, people are going to be coming out of the Big Y or the shops, and we're like, oh, I need to get into this lane, but there's so many cars.
Exactly,
Or we're
yeah.
backed up all the way to the intersection that we're improving,
Mhm.
but so those are very valuable things to know.
We're very much less concerned about internal. The biggest concern is when you install a roundabout, a lot of times these queues can get long, and the worry about is the queue to the signal,
Right.
which can cause gridlock. So we did, that analysis is already complete, we can share all that data with you.
Yeah,
This is more of a free flow condition in here. So it's just confirming that the number of the lanes can handle the volume, basically, that we already have, which I can off the cuff say that one lane is definitely more than volume.
Okay.
It can handle more than volume that is there. But we will get you all those numbers.
Thanks.
Great. Anything else, Shelley?
I had two. One was the queue area, because
Mhm.
I was curious with the intersection, how come, what prevented having a roundabout there? Is it space or?
Just
Sheer-
land, town does not have the land to do
Got
it,
it.
yeah. The
That's what I
footprints,
thought.
we do have an option, I think we show a circle down there.
Big
We
right-of-way
could,
impacts.
but
Utilities.
it would be a $4 million or $3 million
Got it.
intersection. It'd
I
be-
figured, but I had to ask when you said
Yeah.
the Q data. So that Q data would answer some of my questions. And then Sean, I was thinking with the storm water and your strategic presentation a few meetings ago, with this particular area, was this one of the areas that we had big concerns about the lack of storm water?
Luckily, they're under contract to do stormwater design in the next
Okay.
phase, so we'll be able to look at that and whether or not we really need to get into it. So as part of this MassWorks engineering, there's a stormwater aspect to it as well.
Okay, great. So we could look at that information.
Yes, it's coming as soon
together.
as we have the preferred design, then we can look at the stormwater layout or anything.
Yeah, we'll include the stormwater piece with the preliminary design plan. We just didn't know where the catch basins are going and the pipes.
Yeah, I
Excellent
couldn't
question, though.
remember if This was one of the areas we were super concerned with, and so
It-
that's
it-
helpful.
Yeah, it gets chased down towards,
Got it.
towards Cooley.
Mhm.
Great, thank you. And Josh, I know it's you can't see the slides, but just wanted to give you a chance to pipe in if you had anything.
No, my questions were covered, thanks.
Okay, great, thanks. So I agree with Andrew that, obviously what you guys have laid out for the Williams Redfern, that seems like a no-brainer and it seems like something that we should move forward with. So it's obviously just kind of figuring out what to do with these options here. And going back to the timeline that you all provided at the end, I'm curious what it looks like after that. So after we apply, how long does it take to hear back? When would construction possibly begin? Those sorts of things.
Is it November? We got the award last year.
I think so.
I mean, you'll know, like, this time, but unofficially, yeah. Unofficially, you'll know in October, but in November is when the
Of
award
next
is.
year.
Okay, so October 2026, we'll find out whether we got the grant, and then we would then.
They'll finish
tee things-
design.
Okay,
A month,
They'd finish design.
wrap things up, yeah.
And then we'd go out to bid.
okay. And
For the
that would
following-
be
for the following spring,
2027
yeah.
spring,
Yeah.
summer. Okay. Have we been in touch with Colvis Group to see where they are with their plans to just, because obviously this would be great to get this completed before they are developing
So,
that.
so funny you should mention that. So we had hoped to wrap up the traffic study that the planning board asked for this summer, but because of timing issues, some other stuff, that'll be wrapping up the end of this month and be presented to them along with the stormwater analysis that was done, I think, November 5th, the day after town meeting, at which time we'll be sharing the data with both, so make sure that whatever is done kind of works, if you know what I mean. So Colvis doesn't have this, but they know this is happening. We're waiting on your decision for next steps, but we'll be telling both engineering firms about it and the planning board, and yeah, it'll be incorporated into whatever happens at that site.
Okay.
So
Yeah, we've taken into consideration their rough numbers already, like in terms of that intersection specifically. So like horizontally, things won't change at all. Like that intersection can handle double the size of Colvest. It's more of like, what are the signal timing, like the really nitty gritty, you know, ooh, does their driveway move 20 feet? Do we need to add more green time on that signal? Little things like that.
Okay.
And then the coordination, as Sean was saying, like making sure their sidewalks match our sidewalks.
the planning board still needs to weigh in on
Yeah.
what the final design looks like, and we would have to come back if it changes much to this. But
Okay, but it seems
There's
like
stuff to happen.
kind of-
yes,
There's definitely coordination that needs to happen, but
it's not.
nothing that'll affect really what you saw on that screen right there from you know, what the final product's gonna look like.
Okay,
to
great.
to most
That-
people.
That makes me feel better to
Yeah.
hear that. So that's good. So right now, this is kind of the feedback stage that you're looking for
Mhm.
from us. I guess, what did you all have in mind exactly with this? When do we need to make a concrete decision? Is this something that you guys are gonna do, like public presentations and get input publicly from? Like, what's the process here?
This is that. This is the public presentation of it. And as they mentioned at the beginning, with the Complete Streets project, prioritization plan that was just updated, and the long-range plan, this is weaving in a lot of that public comment and making those recommendations based on some of that as well. I think, I don't want to speak for the consultants here, but I think in the next 2 meetings or so, if we could hone in on exactly what you want them, what you think we should be moving forward with, that would be helpful so that they can meet that December deadline.
Okay.
All of this really is just to keep us moving forward so we can apply for that next round of MassWorks.
Okay, great. And you know, originally I had the same questions as Andrew about how it would be helpful to have accident data to understand how far we should go, how much we should invest in this. But I think as we've kind of talked about this more, it seems to me at least like the second option with the roundabout seems like it has more benefits. And I will just say that, you know, right now I'm leaning towards that as what I think might be the best option. The raised lanes for bike lanes that you all mentioned, I think that is something that also makes a lot of sense to me. And also, I think kind of it really meshes with how we were thinking about the TIP projects on Long Meadow Street and increasing bike lanes there, making that more accessible. And I think, you know, as the years go on, you're just going to see folks using, or you're using bike lanes more and more. And to get that into place now, especially if we can get it all covered through this grant, that makes a lot of sense to me.
I would mention on the bike lanes, I think, you know, how people are going to, in this town, use bike lanes, I think shared use paths are more appropriate, to be honest, of how actual, like, the function, seeing, you know, shared use paths. Most of the people in this town, those are their uncomfortable elementary school age kids riding, you know, they're riding the sidewalks now. You just kind of want a wider facility for them, and that's a shared use path. What we presented is, I think, a nice medium, because we were really trying to avoid turning this into this mega project and totally reconstructing the whole area. You'd need to move all of those utility poles, all of the trees would have to come down, you have to touch all the sidewalks. It would turn this project into something large that I think this town, it's way outside of the grant for MassWorks. But I do want to be clear that we did consider things outside of the bike lanes.
Okay. So would these shared lanes, would they also be raised? as
Yeah,
well?
these would be off-street bike lanes. I just wanted to make note that we did consider other options, such as a shared use path, which would be a 10-foot wide, basically a glorified sidewalk
Yeah, okay.
that bicycles and pedestrians could use, which, if we had unlimited funds, I think would be more appropriate. But I don't think you'd end up building anything because it would cost $20 million to build. So
Great.
it is an option. I just say for the board to consider, I suppose. But
Praneeth, I have
Yeah.
one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
As far as the public, this is kind of the public information, and I'm new to the board, so I don't know what I'm asking is appropriate, but we do have a town meeting coming up. Would it be possible to have the consultants outside, and just like the school did when we had town meetings, they weren't on the agenda, but they were there with plans to answer questions and just for people to see? I don't know if that's something we do, but we have a lot of people coming in and out of the town meeting in early November. That might be a way to have more communication with residents so that they can see what we got to see here. And then ask questions with some of the folks we asked to do the studies. I don't know if that's possible or if I'm asking something. I was just thinking, I know the schools did that when we were talking about the middle school, so that might be a great way for residents just to get their eyes on it.
Yeah, we'll connect and see if it's something we can pull
Okay.
together.
Awesome. Yeah, let me know
Yeah.
if there's anything you need any help from me.
Anything else for anyone?
Should we get some feedback from the DPW and the police chief? I'm just curious, like, your thoughts.
I think we agreed with the preferred alternative that you also mentioned, but there's no real issue with us for maintenance, and I think it's a great opportunity to change the downtown area for the better.
Chief's thoughts are going to pass?
No, this is something I've been asking for, not asking for, but I've been a proponent for many, many years. I think that area has become pretty saturated with some restaurants and shopping, which is awesome for the town. I love when I see a new place come into town, new business, but I also lose a little bit more hair every time it happens. I know it's causing more people to show up, so, and I've been asking for one lane in that area, especially on the Bliss side, for quite some time. I think that it's a mini highway there now. We're doing our best to enforce it, but we were just out there last week doing crosswalk enforcement, and it needs to be addressed, I think. So I think we're all aware of that. So I'm excited that we have an opportunity in front of us.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I think when I mentioned that the second alternative with the roundabout seemed like the best one, I think, Nick, when you mentioned that, coming from Redfern-Williams intersection and you're getting kind of close to Big Y, like around Lola's, like that does always feel to me like the most dangerous part. And that is really when people are flying, and to be able to mitigate that, I think would make a big difference, just as Chief Stocks just mentioned as well. Okay. Anything else? Okay, great. Thank you all so much for your presentation, and we'll make a decision here in the next couple of meetings.
I'll leave these in Lynn's office for you guys, so you can see them.
Great, thank you. Thank you.
thank you.
All right, we have another presentation from Angela and Richard Schiff. Correct. And you all can come to the microphones. As Angela and Richard are just getting settled in, they are town residents who made a request to the select board chair, and at his discretion, the chair has provided, I think, 10 minutes tonight for a presentation. And so I don't know if you all have PowerPoint or anything, or?
We don't. We had Peggy scan and I guess email it to you folks. I'm a selectman, and I thought that was the easiest way to. There is a huge wealth of information on this. And I'm Richard Schill. This is my wife, Angela. We're not actually residents as such. We are residents up in New Hampshire. However, we're property owners here at 124 Benedict Terrace. And basically, we got notices from Eversource that they were going to change to smart meters. And so we ended up contacting them, and after about 5 hours of being on hold, et cetera, we got an answer that you can opt out of these smart meters. And the reason being is that if you search smart meters online, you will find there's a wealth of information out there of why not to use them. because they have lithium-ion batteries. Some of them, we don't know what Eversource exactly is using because it hasn't been disclosed, but they're using a company called AMI, and that's the company that will actually probably install them. But if you search or read through some of the material I enclosed, you'll find that okay, well, number one, I guess this is what we finally learned, but this involved 5 hours on the phone, and we finally got an answer. So we were told at lower levels, of supervisors or people at lower levels, we were told that there would be a one-time we were told that you were be allowed to opt out of this. And but we didn't get any answers until hour 5, and then we were told by a person up in New Hampshire that this was there would be a one-time $42 charge and $34 a month added to your bill just to opt out. Now, Connecticut passed allowing smart meters in, but it was no-fee smart meters. In other words, you wouldn't have to pay to opt out. And these can be for health reasons. And I'm sorry, but we gave a little bit of bad information at the top of this. This was our thing we created. This was just backup stuff that we had sent you. But there are 2 House bills, and I gave these House and Senate bill, and I gave these to Peggy to disseminate. And it spells it out very clearly that what they're trying to do is, for safety reasons, people's health, and because you're being irradiated by microwave frequencies, possibly, because like I said, Eversource needs to reveal what exactly their meter does. Because if it's lower frequencies, it's not as dangerous as it is if it's higher frequencies. And we all are getting radiated all the time by our electronic devices, Wi-Fi, et cetera, cell phones, our children's games, and then baby monitors, and on and on and on. And I actually, I just want to get people aware, there are all sorts of, I happen to be an engineer, that's how I happen to have this stuff, but there's all sorts of devices to measure this stuff, which I have measured, and all of a sudden you get a pulse and a frequency appears. Every one of us are being radiated by that all the time. And if you understand, like setting your computer up, for example, you'll find all your neighbors' Wi-Fis are available at your computer. Well, that means it's coming in, we're being bombarded by all of that.
Beneath, this is Josh. It sounds like we're getting very far off topic here.
Okay. Yes. Well, what we're requesting, Josh, is we're requesting that the select board call for a moratorium, based on that the Senate and the House, Massachusetts Senate and House, they have Senate Bill 2306 and House Bill 3551, and that we are asking that the board would come up with a moratorium until after they vote. They are at a committee at this point. That's why we got messed up with the numbers that we gave. But they are finally at a committee. So it means there's a lot of people interested in doing that. And I've disseminated a copy of each here, but I would suggest you read it, and you'll see there is safety reasons as well as the cost, because the state does not feel that somebody should be penalized because they don't want this thing in their house.
But I'm not sure we have the ability to do that.
Other communities have done it, even states have done it, and countries have done it. You gotta look online, you gotta look at that stuff. There is a wealth of
Yeah,
support.
I understand that. States and countries, I could see, but utilities they are not necessarily governed by us because of their state siting boards that we've learned from on the Eversource pipeline issue. So I'm not sure that this is something we could even entertain at this point.
Okay, well, we searched to see if these devices were approved under the National Fire Code. They're not. This is for the safety of the town's residents, the firefighters, all of us. The younger somebody is, like an infant or a pregnant woman or a child, the more risk, depending on the frequencies of these radiation.
So the reason I put you on the agenda is because you mentioned that you had some information, and we do have the information now, and thank you for sending that. But it seemed to be focused on fires, and we're talking about something very different than that.
No, because the fires are part of this. This is a huge subject. This could be involved, we could be involved in this for hours. The fires are a problem because they have to do with lithium. And, as look at Palisades, California, they had smart meters. The companies were out there taking this is all public knowledge, that they were out there taking these meters off, and they put them in a vault. They wouldn't let the insurance companies get a hold of them. I mean, you gotta look at the information. I mean, this is a safety thing, and it truly is. It's real. It's not false. It risks the firefighters. There's special ways of fighting a lithium fire as well.
Here's your Great. Well, any other questions from the board? I'll give
finish
you
up.
the
Go ahead.
chairman duties here.
Let me pull up my agenda. Finish up.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you have any concluding thoughts you want to share, you can, but I don't think that there's any questions from the board at this time.
Yeah,
so.
I would urge everybody to read this. This was sent to you. This is what we printed up. It has a huge amount of information, and I'm very capable of talking about this because I'm an engineer. I have real-time experience with RF radiation, working with the U.S. government and being a ham radio operator and just being an engineer in the companies I've worked for. So I know what I'm talking about. What it does is it ionizes the nucleuses of your cells. Your cells have a nucleus. It ionizes that. It can cause breakdown of these cells. It could cause fires in houses because RF radiation, the higher the frequency, it has what's called a skin effect. It travels on the surface of conductors. It can actually find its way through insulation, particularly in older homes, where you have wire that's in the ceilings that people aren't pulling their ceilings down, especially these beautiful old houses. So this is why I decided that I would come and ask the board for a moratorium. But I think it should have further looking into, because this is a serious safety issue in many aspects.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Appreciate it.
May I just add one more thing?
Sure.
Local communities can put a temporary moratorium until the state legislature makes their vote, which I've been told is expected December, January, or February. So it is possible for the Long Meadow Select Board to do that. Thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And if you have any questions, we included our phone number on the back of that piece I showed you there.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on next to correspondence. Any comments from the board on anything we've received? For Lynn and Mike, the pollinator garden, is that something, do we need to Have we granted you the ability to take care of this now? I don't recall.
Yeah, it says that in the policy, so I believe it just comes forward to the board as correspondence, and then, you know, if you wanted to act on it at a specific meeting, you could, or you can just, you know, have the town manager act on the application.
Great. And anyone else? No? Okay. Moving on to town manager's report.
Thank you. Just pulling it up here. This the new flow is throwing me on. So a staffing update, the health director has resigned. His last day will be October 24th. We've posted the position, and it's been shared with the other communities that we provide public health services for, which are Hamden, Wilbraham, and Munson. And we will be working to fill that position as soon as possible. The police station exterior evaluation, we just signed a contract, or I just signed a contract with Fuss & O'Neill for $13,500 to perform an on-site evaluation to document existing conditions. They're going to prepare a memo to summarize findings and make recommendations for repairs and upgrades. This will include an opinion of probable construction cost. This is the first step that we have to take in order for us to build out an RFP for future repair work, which we would need funding for. As was mentioned in select board comments, we had a very great special town election on September 30th. There was a total of 3,490 votes, and and then we had 741 ballots cast during early voting hours. So really great turnout, and I'm glad we were able to pull together those early voting hours quickly. A new website redesign is underway. This is through our company Civic Plus that we have our current website with. It's included in our contract. It's going to refresh the homepage, updated site navigation and interior pages, and enhances ADA compliance and mobile responsiveness. The project team is made up of town staff and a project manager and an art director from Civic Plus. This might seem like we just did this not long ago, but it was actually 3 years ago now. And website visuals change very quickly. So it's incredible to see the differences between our 2022 site, which we're seeing now, to what we'll launch with this new refresh. So kudos to Mike for leading this effort, and then the rest of the town staff that he's had join him to help make these decisions. We're excited to launch this later on in the fall. And some good news, the conservation agent and tree warden Leah Gregorov received a student scholarship to attend the Arbor Day Foundation's 2025 Partners in Community Forestry Conference. This will take place in Nevada. And she's going to be gathering with individuals, communities, and organizations to explore innovative solutions, share insights, and collaborate on the future of urban forestry. That concludes my report tonight. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Lynn. I remember when we launched the current website, so that was a huge change. I'm excited to see what you come up with next.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else for questions for the town manager?
No.
Okay. We have, moving on to old business, approval of meeting minutes. Entertain a motion to approve the September 15th, 2025 minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any further discussion or corrections? All those in favor? And entertain a motion to approve the September 18th, 2025 special select board remote meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
And for further discussion, I just noticed that I am not listed as a member present. But I was there because it says my name later, so we can fix that. Anything else? All those in favor? All right, moving on next to updated recommendations related to the new recycling cart program and leaf program. So we have Lisa and just you, Lisa.
So I'm Lisa Oxen. I'm the DPW business manager. We have sort of a lot in front of you, so probably best to take it in three parts. We have the carts, we have what's going on at the recycle center, and then our leaf program for the fall. So our carts were distributed in July. All 540 households received 2 recycling carts. Since then, we have had a survey for anyone who wants to swap. So if they got the default size and that doesn't work for them, or some people who actually ordered sizes and when they got it realized that wasn't going to work, they could sign up. Since that time, we've had 297 homes sign up on the list. It's actually 414 carts that need to be swapped. If we were to do these carts, I have about 147 on hand right now. And then of what's coming back, 44 work automatically, and then there's some that we would have to buy a lid for. It's estimated at about $11,000 to purchase the extra carts and lids to do these swaps. We do have the funding still from the town meeting approved for this project. To perform these swaps, we do have some options of if residents could come and pick them up. That's obviously the easiest for our department. Our department could try to do these swaps, but I mean, it's not going to be the easiest, or we could hire someone to do the swaps. When you do the swap, we do have to log the serial number so that we know which household has which cart. So I guess we're looking for, if we want to move forward with allowing these swaps to happen, make these purchases, and which direction do we want to go with that?
Do we have a sense of how many people did not know about the choices versus are not happy with what they picked?
I would say of these swaps, majority, as in like probably 95%, are the defaults trying to switch away. So they were ones that didn't know they could sign up and did not sign up in the time frame.
Okay. And why do we need new lids?
So if someone got a 64 in yellow and they want to move up to a 96, there's people who want it in green for their bottles and cans because they have the 48. So when I bring in the 64, if I put a green lid on it, we can now give it to a household that wants it in bottles and cans.
Okay. That seems like a cheaper way to do it.
Yeah, so a lid is about $15, while a whole cart is more like $60, depending on the size.
Anyone else wants to give thoughts, please go ahead.
Yeah, I do think we need to allow these swaps to happen, and I think, Lisa, you mentioned somewhere else in your memo about kind of maybe publicly saying that there is like a deadline, and I think that's something that we have to do. I think I propose October 17th.
Yeah.
That seems kind of soon, but is there a reason why it's so soon?
So carts will take 6 to 8 weeks to come in, so we are going to start running into winter. And I think from when you distributed your trash carts, they were sort of winter, and it sort of warped some covers, and weather starts to play a factor.
How are we going to tell the people that there's a cutoff if they didn't know about it?
I know, yes, because blasting
It doesn't
Facebook,
matter.
it doesn't matter.
The people were never going to reach.
Yeah.
I mean, at least they now have carts to maybe.
The hope is at least they've been living with the cart for a while now, so if it hasn't worked, they've probably called and complained, or they're trying to find a solution already.
I mean, I just had a conversation with someone last week that said, I didn't know I could swap.
Yeah.
So,
I know.
Yeah. Okay. And then, sorry. And then, my other question, actually, you know, I can't think of it right now.
I screwed you up.
Yeah, you ruined my flow.
Just a question. So I think that actually, when you look at the numbers, it's only 5% basically of people who are asking to swap, which I think is a testament to the recycling committee and how good a job they did with like getting the word out and letting the program kind of play out the way it did. So I think that, you know, we should definitely do the swaps because, you know, the $11,000, it is not that much money, and if you, there's no way, you know, some of these people are being accommodated just from a swap. It's hard to say, hey, this other group of people, you know, you have to pay a fee or something like that. So I think that makes sense. But I don't really want to pay, like I'm sure it's very expensive for a company to deliver these again.
Yeah.
And so ideally, I'm sure you agree, it's best if people will come get them.
Yeah.
There might be a subset of people who can't get like a truck or like a minivan or a friend to help. But maybe, what do you think about, you know, and I don't really want to occupy the DPW's time delivering unless we really have to. Do you think it's possible to start out with like come get it and see what happens? Like, what do you
Yeah,
think we should do
I
there?
think that would probably be the best to just, for what we have in stock now, start seeing how many people can come and get it. So like by appointment or invitation
Yeah.
of, we have what you need in stock, and then based on what they turn back in, could we give it back out? To see how much we can get down before then the order comes in, and then, see to move from there.
Yeah, I think the way to phrase it might be, you can go swap it right now, but we won't have new ones or DPW availability to deliver to you for a while. And so
Yeah.
maybe that's a way to be, and it's true, but we can see how much we can knock down that number.
Yeah, all told, I mean, we're saving a lot of money with this contract. We still have the money. 11 grand is not the end of the world. And I agree that this is, sometimes we got to bite the bullet and provide services. And we knew that there was a bit of a quick turnaround on making the choices for the first time, but people didn't know anyway, and people don't know apparently months and months later. But yeah, I support that, and I think that's the right way to do it too.
Yeah.
I know that I probably couldn't fit the biggest one in my SUV in the back.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, even with all the seats folded down. So there might be people who are, despite best efforts, are unable to do this, and then maybe we can figure it out from there. But yeah, so and October 17th, you think that's the last day we should go on the swap?
Up to
For the
you.
winter, basically, is the thinking?
Yeah.
Because 8 weeks from there is going to be December 17th.
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
Because it is pushing back people who need the cart for holiday season and stuff. The hope is to get it to them sooner, but then delay the people that are waiting, that have signed up since day one of, once they got the cart.
And how are we going to give notice for the swap? What does it cost to do like the reverse 911 call?
Those are free. We did that the last time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's included in our general
system,
contract.
okay.
We would do that. We would do electronic message boards. Those are usually really widely seen.
We already have one out at the front from the previous election.
Yeah. So we would program those with a message.
Newsletter,
Yeah.
social media.
I know the reverse 911. Every time we do it, people complain to me because I personally get
Yep.
I get it 5 times, and
Yep.
some people still don't get it. So
I'm not sure this rises to the level of a reverse 911, but personally, I mean, there's a little bit of a cry, like people don't pay attention when it's really something important.
Yeah.
If you overdo it. I mean, that's just
and
one.
I hope we're not at a boy who cries
And-
wolf
and I-
yet, but it's a fair point though.
Is there anything that we can do with waste management in terms of the next trash pickup, that they could leave something? Or, I'm assuming not, but if they're literally going to be at your driveway and
It would cost us money to do that.
You have nowhere to put it too.
How much? Well, like on the trash bin. I mean, they'll put a notice on the trash bin if you're using the wrong bin.
Yeah.
Like how much would that cost the town?
If they stopped at every house.
Yeah.
It might be a crazy idea. I'm just trying to think of any other way that we can communicate.
I don't know that they would actually do it, because I think it would impact the route timing too much to stop at each and get out. So we would need to come up with some other solution. I mean, unless you talk to them much more frequently than I do.
I feel like they would have a charge on it if we wanted to. Even if we made the tag and gave them the tag, I still feel like they'd be like, okay, $2 a house.
It's just another 10 grand.
Yeah.
To do a mailing to each house is about, $6,000, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm going to be in favor of that.
No,
The 911 call's fine in that case.
Yeah, I'm just providing, just so you know, we've deployed different measures depending on the severity of what the message we need to get out. But despite all of those best efforts, there's always someone who doesn't
No.
They can buy one later, which we,
Yeah,
next
we've
time.
actually gotten really good feedback lately about the call. So unless I'm not hearing all bad,
You got good feedback?
Well,
Yeah, I've got
it's good natured grief, but yeah, why did I have to hear it 6 times?
Right, no, understood.
People do hear it, though.
Yeah, no, they do, yeah.
So-
And we're still testing some things out too. So there's ways we can check off that you don't receive it on your home phone, business phone,
Oh,
cell
okay.
phone. There's ways we can go about making it so that it only goes to your primary contact in each household. So
Well, at the risk of belaboring this too much, Lisa, I think you're right that probably most people who are upset with this called to find out. And so there may be a couple who don't even think of it's a possibility, but most people have probably at least called.
Yeah.
So.
And the possibility of switching will always be there. Like if yours gets damaged, you need a new one. There's a way to get it basically. So it's
Yeah. So
It's not-
moving
it's
on
not
would
the end
be,
of the
the
world.
next would
Right.
be, it doesn't need to be determined tonight, but what the price would be if someone lost theirs or wants to swap later. I would think that if we're doing a cutoff of the first order, potentially moving forward, because you missed all the opportunities, it could be that we charge them.
So this might be a dumb question. When I lived in DC, we had everyone's trash went in the same place, and people would steal trash cans all the time. How do you lose them here?
One lady has already lost her yellow bin. I don't know. She goes, it arrived and now I don't know where it went.
Huh. Okay.
I'm sure they can get damaged though. I mean,
Damage.
and then in the
Had
winter,
damage.
the winter's they're gonna come by and some plow's gonna destroy
Yeah,
it or
they've
knock
gotten
out a
hit the
wheel.
trash ones, but I mean, for the most part, it's losing them. Or when the house sells, the person takes it with them too. That happens.
So is there, this is the price just to buy it right now, or
Yeah.
average price? Is there any administrative costs we should work in?
If
Shipping?
I did add for shipping onto those, so it's sort of averaging of what a truck of them would cost. But obviously, we'd have to be buying them in batches to get them at this price. And then if we were delivering them, I know other towns have charged a delivery fee as well.
Yeah, so I think we should work that out.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I do too.
If your question is whether we should charge, then I think we should. I don't
Yeah.
think it should be pretty much at cost. So we're not trying to make a profit off residents, but work in the actual costs.
Okay.
And knowing that you're not going to be buying hundreds
Yeah.
at once, it's
Yeah.
going to be like a few, right?
Yeah, we'll have what is left from these swaps. I'll have extras of lids and things like that. And then I usually have a little buffer too just so that if anything happens, we have them. All right. Then at the recycle center, since we've had the carts, we've been implementing that cardboard is accepted down there. We got a larger roll-off dumpster to accommodate all the cardboard. Since we have also allowed residents with no pass to enter to use the cardboard. They've also had a dumpster for the bottles and cans, which actually has not fully filled since July. So that one hasn't even been emptied yet, but the cardboard is filling on a weekly basis. There is a hope that when people get the larger cart, if they're asking for it, they won't need the recycle bin down at the recycle center. But we are making a recommendation that at some point, like at the turn of the calendar year, we require a pass to go and use the cardboard. It is costing us $325 per empty, and certainly the workers are also directing more traffic right now because of it.
So my problem with this is, and I watched the video when we started this, we said if we get these bins, there will be a place to drop off cardboard. That we said that at town meeting. And I understand it costs us money, but we told people that information so they would vote for this. And I don't like going back on this. And so I understand. I think that maybe there's something I talked about when we first started discussing this is, are the people taking advantage of this? If so, yes. I know that from talks to the town manager's office, that is the case. So are there other ways we could address this, or maybe make it so it doesn't have to be emptied every week? But if it's from people from out of town, can we get a different sticker that's just for cardboard? If you're a resident, you can get it? Or should we have a limit per user that maybe isn't enforced on everyone, but if our dump staff says, I see this guy all the time, he's running a business and dropping these off, But I think we have to figure out a way. I don't think we can just say, you need a sticker. I feel very uncomfortable with that, because that makes us, we change the game, and I don't like that. Andrew?
So I agree, we definitely told people that they could do this unlimited. So I was wondering a few questions. I think one of the reasons to have a pass would be to make sure non-residents aren't taking advantage of this because they all know it's free. So that's one thing that maybe if we mitigated it, we could reduce the amount that's going in the dumpster and maybe not have to empty it every week. I also think, and Lisa and I talked offline today, and I learned a little bit more about businesses that might be surreptitiously or quite overtly dumping large amounts of huge boxes of cardboard. And I wondered if you knew, like, I'm sure that's limiting the amount of space for residents, which is what it was intended for. So it sounded like from what we had spoken before, like there is an actual delineation that it should be for residential use, but it's hard to enforce or it's not enforced. So maybe ways to mitigate the costs would be find a way to have some sort of sticker that's for those who don't already have a sticker, that maybe even at no cost, just to notify people that you are a resident. And secondly, have staff enforce like no businesses dumping to fill up the dumpster. I mean, do you think that would make a difference knowing how much is in there? Maybe we can basically cut the costs from $325 a week, which is $16,000 a year, to every other week, just because people are just using the small boxes that they're ordering from Amazon and such. What do you think about?
Yeah, I mean, certainly they could come to the DPW and we somehow verify they're a resident and give them some type of pass for cardboard only. That could be free. Certainly, if a business is dropping off the cardboard, it is filling up more than a resident is. With the bigger bins, I mean, I do want to encourage residents to get the bigger bin if they have extra cardboard, because they are supposed to cut it up anyways if you bring it to our big dumpster. It's sort of for the facility. They don't want big cardboard. It gets, in the machines. So it's sort of not supposed to say, "Ooh, I have a big cardboard. I don't have to cut it up if I just bring it down."
Right.
And I've heard feedback that a lot of people just bring all their cardboard because, if I'm going, I'm just going to empty it all versus using curbside. So, I mean, certainly it's encouraged to use your curbside cart, cut it up, will help the space at the recycle center.
So can you speak to this idea of businesses using it? That has been seen?
Yes.
And like how much of the dumpster would you estimate, if you know, is like this, like you go there and like the first day it's like half full because
I know on Saturday we're half filling. It gets emptied on a Thursday, so Saturday would be the first day that it's, open and empty, and it's half full by the end of Saturday.
And there's people
and
with
so
very large boxes, like
and
you were mentioning
also like
debt
something of, if you
companies
get usually if you get a refrigerator, it gets delivered, they sort of take the cardboard with you. They said there's a lot of appliance full-size boxes too.
Do you see a problem with actual enforcement with the staff saying,
yeah,
this is clearly
so a
not
lot of times
true.
the person comes in, they go, "Oh, just cardboard," so they sort of just wave them through and don't check the cardboard, so by the time it gets into the dumpster, it's too big, it's not flattened. We had a problem when it dumped that the big stuff like stood up and got stuck, and so then nothing would fall down. So we are having issues with it emptying too.
So again, do you think that there's going to be do you think our staff could basically enforce that? Or is that going to be difficult? Like if you have someone come in with, 5 like huge things that's from a billiards table or like a decking thing, and it's clearly not someone who bought 5 pool tables last week, is that still a challenge because you still have to challenge the person?
We have ongoing discussions with people that work down there, and we're trying to do better to train them, but it is a difficult task sometimes to get the people that work there to deal with. There's a lot of cars coming in and out. They're doing the best they can, and then there's some training issues that we can certainly try, but
well,
I'm
what
fearful
if
of
we enforce the size that can go in? We're supposed to cut it down even at the dump. So what if we just enforce that? Would that be too much of a challenge?
I think we're going to run into some challenges.
Yeah. How about only the egregiously large, like 10 foot by 3 foot?
When we got the new roll-off, it is like a coupe style, so there's just little doors. So I hoped that had deferred some of the big of just throw it over the top. But I guess still, since the coupe, we're still getting big stuff in there.
The only way that would work is if we had a dedicated person stationed at that cardboard container.
Because people come in, you don't see their cardboard probably as well.
Or someone goes to help and assist somewhere else on site with something, and then someone just goes in and dumps their cardboard.
Also, sometimes the person on staff is not actually on station.
You might
They're
have
doing
one
something.
person at the gate, and another person's
More of the bulk. you
yeah,
know.
go with the bulk, and then someone else comes in. So it can get busy down there on a Saturday and hard to monitor. But we are taking some steps to try to be better monitoring and communicating with the staff what's expected of them. But there's some work left.
Just one more question. Regarding the sticker, do you have a sense of how many people who are recycling cardboard already have a sticker?
I did ask, and they sort of said, oh, once I say cardboard, I really don't look for their sticker, but if they had to guess, they said around 50%. I looked, we've sold 2,989 stickers so far this year. So about 54% of the town has a sticker, and last year we got up to 3,043, so.
Anybody else? Who's got a solution?
What are other towns doing in this situation? I mean, I assume this has
Some
to be...
towns have like by appointment only at their DPW. If you moved in and you have a bunch of moving boxes. Some towns have, you can buy a second recycle cart. So you would have like 2 96s in those single stream towns. I have started conversation with Waste Management on what if we said second carts, and right now they're saying it would charge us $10 per month to have a second recycle cart per house. So I sort of said $120 per year is high comparative to our contract. We pay $1 per blue bag. So I said if a guy can get out of a truck for $1, why should I be paying you $2.50 per week to press a button to pick up the cart? They sort of said they'd think about it.
So that's actually very interesting. Having a second recycling cart, and you can charge the resident the cost, which is $120 a year. I think that's a massive amount of recycling for anybody, like 296 cardboards, and it could obviate the problems we're having with policing this and we're trying to avoid abuse, which is a detriment of everybody, and it sounds very difficult to stop it. So a way to take away the free, that is an interesting idea to me anyway.
Would they charge us automatically per house? So it's not just who has the double, every house? You can
No, it would be, I think I would provide them how many I've issued out as a second one, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, have we identified the bad actors and had conversations with these people?
The ones at the recycle center sort of no, because right now the rule is you can just come with your cardboard. Those who have been leaving it out at the curb have been getting a tag from Waste Management saying you can't leave extra out at the curb, it has to be in the cart. That usually does get us a phone call, and we at least can have the conversation with those people of either sign for a larger cart, use the recycle center.
Dan, are you asking who is going to the dump and?
Yeah, like.
Do you know what business it is?
Yeah.
Well,
It's
there you
probably
go. That
common
might be-
knowledge.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
that
I
might
think
be a part of
maybe a couple thoughts. If we knew who the bad actors were, we could take the moment to just challenge. Not everybody, not always, but those people should know. And I should also say that if we didn't do something at the dump, we could still after Christmas have some sort of day where we do it, because that's like the most packages or something like that. We could have those kinds of amnesty type ideas.
I think that I would like to maybe explore with Chief Stocks potentially having somebody there to watch the recycling center one Saturday, and especially if we know who is dumping refrigerator boxes, and saying, that's not what it's for.
We do have a camera, so we can make some phone calls, and maybe it'll help.
Oh, really?
Interesting.
Great. Okay.
Would it be possible just for a couple of weeks to have an extra staff? I know we talked about staffing being short, but is it possible to have extra staffing that is just at the recycling dumpster where if it's not chopped up in the right side, someone can say, hold on, this is the last time you're gonna be allowed to do it. Next time it has to be this size, or else you're not gonna be able to allow it. And then if you do see the violator, that's when it's like, hey, I'm putting you on notice, you're not gonna be able to dump here anymore. Like, I'm wondering if you could have a designated person to see?
Andrew, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what are you doing on
You
Saturday?
guys are volunteering enough time already, so maybe on your weekends, you know?
I just didn't know if that was possible, just for a couple of weeks to kind of assess the
Could an Eagle
volumes.
Scout do it?
So we do have a union, we have to follow some of the rules within them,
Yeah.
and there is some training that needs to happen for the
Training,
people that are
okay.
down there. It does become, we enforce some stuff, and then all of a sudden, a couple months later, it tends to go back. So it's been
Yep.
an ongoing
Okay.
issue. I do think that is the end solution, though, is someone that's down there and making sure things are done in a more formal way.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I will just say that I agree that I don't think that we should be or requiring recycling stickers for folks to, get rid of their excess cardboard. That was a commitment we made to them, and I think a lot of these options, I don't like that we're putting more on our residents in terms of having them take extra actions or causing greater inconvenience to them. This should not be their problem. I think if there are bad actors that are most responsible for this, we should not be punishing the entire community or making it more difficult for everyone if we can try to get this solved by targeting these bad actors first.
So it sounds like the consensus on the board is try the resident stickers and let's see if we can clamp down a little bit on this program, but we want the program.
Yeah,
Is that right?
I think to clarify, like, I think that we should continue it and this, pay the $325 a week. See how the additional, like in 8 weeks, the additional large ones might decrease the amount. Try to stop the worst actors, please, and reassess, essentially. I mean, it's my hope that we can start doing this to a point where it's like the dumpster gets emptied every other week, and that would be great. And then I think we're committed to continuing it. I don't really know if we need the the free residential sticker for cardboard. I'm not sure we've.
I mean, it seems like
it seems like
kinda
it's
ridiculous.
onerous.
Like
Yeah.
getting-
Do we have to show a license at least when you go in there?
But you
or
could
prove
do
you're
that,
from
but
a
that's
Long Meadow resident,
another
or-
thing to ask.
They haven't been asking residents, I do know that.
Because I know when I drive stuff down, I have to stop. I write a check if you have to deliver. So I think people wouldn't. I just don't know how much that would back things up. I know it gets busy on the weekends, but even at least just seeing a license to say, hey, at least it says Long Meadow on
I
there.
think that would be another. I mean, people probably know about this from other towns.
Oh,
right?
they do.
So I think getting a license for cardboard is, if we can do that, once you show them we're doing it, you do a good job, like, broken windows policing kind of idea, right away, for a few weeks, and then they'll realize they can't come anymore.
But if we can get a sticker, a vinyl sticker that's cheap, it'll be much faster than checking IDs, because right now they can just say, oh, there's the sticker.
Maybe one way we can do it, just to reduce the onus on residents, is when you go, you get it. If you show us your license, you don't have to go to DPW to get the sticker. We'll have it here. This way it'll be easier for you the next time.
Yeah, something
That's an
like that.
easier way to
Or
do
if,
it.
it gets sent to every household, like everybody gets a sticker. Just something to make this as painless as possible for our residents. Because I really do feel like we made commitments to our residents on this program, and I don't want to keep adding more and more.
Yeah, I think that's the easiest way is when you go, the people at the dump will have, if we have a sticker like this, then they get it there, and we can tell everyone you can get it there free, and that way going forward you just see it and you don't have to even ask them anything.
Sean, do you think that's a reasonable ask of the staff there?
We'll figure it out, I think, just to make sure they look at the ID.
So that will eliminate the non-Long Meadow residents using it.
Yeah.
Right, there's another part of this now.
Yeah, well, just a few updates that the Recycle Center will be going to fall hours on November 1st. Waste Management's automated trucks are expected to be in town by the end of the year. With that, we are going to have to do a little bit more education to make sure that the carts are out facing the correct direction so that the cart can just be picked up and dumped. It's like a hug mechanism that will dump it. If it's not close enough to the road, if it's not facing the right way, it will not dump. So we did make tags. I do have that Waste Management will hook onto the handles of anybody who's not putting it out the correct way. So hopefully before the truck is here, everyone learns out and towards the road. Recycling, just to know that the market has gone in the wrong direction. Right now we are paying $79.85 per ton to recycle. Last year we were between $20 and $30, so it has more than doubled. We are still doing better than trash, and we're still doing better than single stream, which is more than what we pay for trash. So while it's not ideal, we are still in the best we can be for recycling. Lastly, we have is our leaf program. So with the new waste management contract, the price to pick up the curbside leaves, which we normally sell a bag, residents put it out. We've done 3 Saturdays in the past. The price has gone up to $7,623 per day that we have Waste Management do it. If we were to do it for 3 days again this year, it would be $22,869. Last year, the bags were sold at $5 a roll, which is 50 cents per bag, and revenue was $11,000. So we do sort of need to make a decision. Are we still going to do 3 days of collection? Do we still want to sell the bags at $5 a roll to make sure that this program isn't, costing us when only so many houses choose this option? Other people bring their leaves to the West Road. We open up the leaf site with a sticker, or some people have a landscaper do their leaves.
When you say historically $5 a roll, how long has that been?
All right, she's saying since the beginning. Since
the
beginning of the program.
1783. After we started sucking up the leaves with the vacuum, 10, 15 years.
Why are they plastic bags? Is that
So they're plastic because most towns do the paper bags. They then leave the leaves in the paper bags to decompose. We mulch up the leaves and spread them throughout the field, so they can't be in the brown bag. So the clear bag was made so that we can see that it's leaves. It doesn't fall out, fall over, and they do open all the bags, and then it gets mulched up and spread.
What happens to all the bags after?
They're in a dumpster.
Every time I drive by a yard that has 150 bags, a little tear comes down. It's such a waste of plastic. The reasoning makes sense. I really hate it.
Can I make a suggestion? So, I personally don't think the town should lose money on a service like this. I mean, I think that going from doing it 2 Saturdays instead of 3 is an easy way to help. So that will take your cost down from like $22,000 to like minus $7,000 something is like $15,000. And then I'm thinking to make up the difference, you can slightly increase the price of the bags, which inflation has been significant. Things cost a lot more, and at least get us closer to breaking even. Again, not making a profit on a program like this, but not losing money. And so maybe I would suggest doing that calculation, letting us know what the bag cost might be, and then we can reassess it.
Problem is we gotta get bags for sale soon.
What's the timeline for that?
Because, we normally put them on sale October 1st, so we're already late at that. Usually our collections are like November, I want to say it's like 8th, the Friday before Thanksgiving, or the Saturday before Thanksgiving, and then the Saturday after Thanksgiving week.
So maybe this year we just come up with a reasonable increase, whether it's $6 or $7 for the 10 bags, and then we take a loss this year and then figure it out for next year. So this, but less of a loss to mitigate that loss is a suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
But certainly 2 Saturdays of 3 seems like a no-brainer when there's such a deficit.
When are the 3 Saturdays scheduled for now?
We have not scheduled them.
Or like typically, sorry.
Typically, I'm gonna say like the second Saturday in November, the Saturday before Thanksgiving, and then the Saturday after Thanksgiving is usually the first week of December.
Yeah, that makes sense to me to get rid of that first one and go down to 2.
And the fact that rolls haven't gone up in 10 years is nigh time to do that, if nothing else. But I would be, I don't know, after 10 years, I think doubling it seems reasonable to me. And it might lead to less use of it, which would be
better for the plastic.
But if for the plastic, if we have fewer pickups, we might lose a little money because of that, still. But I think that that would be a good starting point for me. Anybody else?
Ian has something to say.
Oh, Ian?
Just real quick, Lisa, is that 2,200, is that historically consistent? Does it vary year to year?
And it's pretty close, yeah,
Okay.
for how many bags sold.
It's about 693, Andrew, if you're trying to do the math.
So, you mean $6.93?
If we were to break even, yes.
Yeah, I think $7 then is a rare reason. I mean, I think it sounds like 10 might be a little much.
I think people
So
would have a really hard time. with
Yeah,
it.
$7 seems clear that we are breaking even on this program. Thank you for doing the math.
Is it cheaper if fewer people use it, or is it just,
We're paying like a per day to have the labor out there on the
Okay.
trucks.
okay. 7.
I think we did leave in the contract, we do have the right to like go out to bid again for just this program if we wanted to in future years. We're just running close on time this year.
So if we had 2 pickups and it was $7 a roll, we would be around even?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah. All right.
I think that's a very palatable increase. It's more modest than doubling it.
I mean, we could have gone up 50 cents a year for the last 10 years, and we'd be
Right.
$10 now, but, it is what it is. I'd be fine with that.
$7?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Seems reasonable.
All right. I think that's all I need for tonight, so thank you.
Do we need to vote on this?
Well, if we could just quickly recap to make sure, October 17th is the cutoff. You're okay with any and all methods we're using to notify residents? Not mailing cards, but...
Whatever you think is best, yeah.
You're okay with the reverse 911? Okay.
Yeah.
And preference to pick up priority at the DPW, and then delivery, or we'll regroup after that to figure out. Okay, just making sure I'm following.
That's a lot of topics.
Yeah.
And drop to 2 Saturdays and $7 for the roll.
Yep.
Oh, in future carts, we're going to figure out all-in cost, so we're not losing money.
And don't let businesses dump cardboard stuff.
Or the business that we've been discussing.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa. All right. Let's move on to fiscal year 2026 ambulance rates. We don't have Chief Frigney here, but we heard a lot about this last week. This is actually the numbers he gave us, correct?
Yes,
We just took a
yes.
vote on it?
Correct, yep, it was a presentation, and now this is the actual vote on the rates itself.
Okay. We want to talk about this before we move on to a vote?
No, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to
Please
say
do.
quickly that I think, for the reasons that we talked about, basically that this will have no actual impact on our residents and no financial impact to them, that this makes sense for us to increase these ambulance rates. So I will make a motion to increase the ambulance rates according to Chief Rigney's attached memorandum.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Actually, I just was driving back from Eastern Mass, Southern Eastern Mass. I drove through Summers, and they have a giant electronic sign in front of their fire department that says how many calls they've had. That continually updates. And I don't know if we want a big neon sign there, but I think it might be kind of useful to have some way for people to track it, because it does, you say, oh, wow, I think they were almost 3,000 to date. So it's, I think, a kind of a tangible way to see what the fire department's doing.
We can have a ticker on the new site,
Yeah,
the website.
old school stuff. Yeah. All right, all those in favor? Okay, and next up, we have a response to Freedom from Religion Foundation Community Preservation application. And what this is, this has been on our agenda in correspondence. I think maybe the first time it didn't make it into correspondence, but it was sent to the members of the board about the First Church renovations that were paid for by a CPC or CPA grant. And it appears somebody from town, and I don't know if we know who it is, not that it matters, but a concerned resident brought it to the Freedom from Religion Foundation with some questions on whether that was a appropriate use of public funds. And we've heard back from the Freedom from Religion Foundation a couple times following up, and I asked Lynn at some point to bring this to town council, and we did a little bit of on crafting a response, and we went back and forth on it. Or did council do this, or did we just? No. Okay. We had talked to council earlier when it first came up. That's what it was. And so to say under the Massachusetts Constitution and case law, there's a balancing act that you have to follow on this, and there's factors you can follow. I know that CPC took those into account. They had was it Steve Weiss drafted a white paper for them, and then it was discussed at length. Town council weighed in on it, and so in order to hopefully put some closure on this for the Freedom from Religion Foundation, and also for the town resident, anyone else who's concerned about whether this was an appropriate use of funds, we decided to put this letter on, and so we could discuss it and vote on it if we are comfortable with it.
Yeah, thank you. I just to kind of just piggyback a little bit off what you said, I think the chair of the CPC first started looking into this almost a year before we even voted on it, and it was Mr. Weiss, who's also an attorney, and I think he looked into this question pretty deeply, and we talked to town council about it. So this was something that was really looked into thoroughly and was made sure that everything was above board, obviously, before it's brought to town meeting.
All right, anybody else? It's new, we have it under old business, but this is the first time we've actually discussed the letter, right?
I think it just came up during correspondence, so maybe that's how it found its way to older business.
I guess I've been thinking about it a long time, sounds like you guys too. I'd be comfortable voting on it. But we can also wait until next week, or until next meeting, if everyone would like to do that.
I'm happy to vote on it.
Just tell me, what are we actually voting on this letter?
We're adopting it, and then we'll sign it. Oh, so if you look back at correspondence, maybe not from the last meeting, but
a couple meetings.
So we're just responding and saying.
Oh, so we're just voting that this is a response.
Yeah, we'll sign this. Okay. Yeah.
The correspondence came to the select board. So if you want to respond to it on behalf of the select board, it needs you.
Thank you. That's the part I was missing.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
And so I'll entertain a motion to adopt this response to the Freedom from Religion Foundation letter.
Second. Or so moved, sorry.
Yeah.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? And all those in favor? Okay. Moving on to new business. So the Greenwood Center has, well, actually, Lynn, why don't you describe it, or Lynn or Mike?
Sure. So
you're over there a lot more.
Yeah, as we built out Greenwood to consolidate municipal offices, we also made sure to add adequate meeting space, and we were fortunate enough to work with LCTV to create a satellite studio. There's been more and more demand for boards and committees to meet and have LCTV have recording and or live capabilities. And so the Greenwood room at Greenwood Municipal Offices has been built out for that, and it's ready to launch if the board would like to relocate there. We have a very nice setup.
Yeah. Yeah, feel free to stop by too during the work hours, or there's plenty more meeting tomorrow if you happen to check it out. But otherwise, yeah, it's a really nice setup. It's got the beautiful maple seal in the background.
I think I asked you about it like 6 months ago when I saw the seal. I said, "Oh, we should meet here."
Yeah.
Yeah. I personally like leaving my house at 6:58 and getting here on time. But if I have to drive across town, that's okay. I think it'd be nice to have a place that's a little bit our own. And so, if everyone else is comfortable with that, I talked to, I ran to Sarah from the Reminder at the election, and I said, if we just change the address on top of a agenda and then start holding meetings there, you're our best customer, what would you think? And she said, I would not have seen that. I would show up here. So that's why I said, let's discuss it at a meeting so that everyone gets a heads up.
And I think the added benefit is that for our town staff, they're right there with their offices, and I think that makes it much more convenient for them.
One of the big motivating factors, besides the convenience of it, for us is we had quite a few meetings in this room that were over capacity, and so the Greenwood room can actually hold a lot more people. It's a little bit more comfortable. I wouldn't say we could hold 85. That was a stretch when we had the municipal aggregation meeting, but it's certainly more than the 15 or so we can get in here. Public, 15 public.
We've gotten great feedback so far from all of the public meetings we've had, whether it was in the Bliss conference room or the Greenwood conference room. The other conference room is a little bit more of a smaller room, but they're both set up for virtual and in-person meetings. And yeah, thank you to LCTV for getting that hybrid set up there. So we're ready to go whenever.
Okay. Well, not seeing any objections, so in 2 weeks, that's where we'll be. Looking forward to it. All right, next up, we're moving on to the draft special fall town meeting warrant.
Okay, so this is definitely a draft, although it is in pretty good shape. We did not spend any time putting them in a specific order yet. We just, our biggest priority was to get everything on a page so that we could start talking about it. Then we can figure out where the order is going to be. There were some changes made late today that I think maybe made it back out to you.
No, I don't think so yet, because it was late this afternoon. I'm just going to share my screen with the updated.
So that might be a little easier then, but we're hovering around low 20s for the number of articles. That will definitely change based on our conversation tonight. We really just treated this as a catch-all right now, so do not look at this and think, where did you come up with this? Like, we just, anything that we've continued or talked about and maybe we're uncertain about, we put on here so we didn't lose track of it. And so do you want me to like walk through each one and just give an overview?
Yeah.
Okay. So starting with Article 1, this is the settlement funds from the DPW matter. When we received those funds, they came in as general revenue because that's how they have to come in, and they've hit our free cash balance. So if we want to designate these funds, this is how we would do that. And I know we had talked about this a long time ago, and I had expressed that my hope would be that we would designate these to go towards the demolition of the old facility. And so that's how I've written this article. Certainly, if you disagree, we can do you guys have the purview to do what you want. But that is what this article is. Article 2, this is for furthering design on the Phase 2 tip project for Long Meadow Street. You've heard about this before, but this is the one that's been expedited a little bit sooner than we initially thought because of some other projects falling off the list in the Western Mass area. So we are very well positioned to be able to get this moved up on the tip schedule, but we do need to finish this design work.
Just a quick question. What's the timeline for the design? How long will the design take if it passes that town meeting? Oh, okay, so.
Is the water section, the water section or the design?
Just the water and sewer design work.
Yeah,
Yep.
so it's going to happen simultaneously with the rest of the road design to get to 75%, but it's not a complicated design. So we'll
Okay.
have a few months.
Okay, great, thank you.
So Article 3 is one that is similar to what we do every fall, it seems. We end up essentially supplementing our capital improvement program with free cash to purchase equipment that was not able to be funded at the capital planning time. And so this article funds a new lawnmower and a new Sand Pro machine, total of which is $70,000 for both pieces of equipment. And the explanation goes into more detail on the specifics.
So the Sand Pro, like that's, I'll just use for an example the two Bliss baseball fields, which get really bad.
Yep.
Will the Sand Pro, can it rip up the grass that's in there, or is it?
So just to replace what we already have in kind, it's not going to do a lot more. So it's just, the one we have is busted up, so we're behind.
Okay. Yeah, because it looks like nothing
Yeah.
ever touches those.
Yeah,
So, okay.
so that would be more work than we have staff for right now.
Okay. I've heard that from you before. Thanks.
Okay, Article 4, can you make that bigger?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you can't read that.
I can barely read what's on my laptop. All right, so Article 4, this one I anticipate we'll have to have some healthy discussion about, and also I'm sure you're going to have a lot of questions that I might not have answers to tonight. But essentially what this is the creation of a revolving fund to support clean energy initiatives. The money to fund this revolving fund is coming from two sources. One is, I have been talking for, it feels like years now, about the adjustments to our net metering agreements. We finalized one that you voted on in May, I believe it was, and we have been negotiating with Nugent and Eversource since then. We received a surprising bit of news from Eversource that initially we were going to redistribute out the massive amount of solar credits that we have been accumulating on our streetlight account. We were going to redistribute those out to other accounts. The issue with that is that it's $865,000, and it will take a very long time to deplete that amount, and we're still accruing credits. So that was a concern of ours. We also, at the time, were planning to do some energy projects that we were under the impression that we could finance through those credits, and we have been informed by Eversource that you can't do that. We've pushed back a lot because that's counter to what's happening other places, and the response they gave to us was what surprised me, and that's that they would prefer to write us a check and cash out all of our solar credits. So that's $865,000 that they would like to send us a check for. If we do not set up a fund to direct that money to, it will go to free cash. Not free cash for this number that we're seeing here now, but it would be free cash that we would then allocate in the fall of 27. Fall of 26, FY 27. So in working with our energy consultant and town council, what we have here is a revolving fund to support those clean energy initiatives, which was keeping in line with the idea of using those solar credits to finance the projects. These, however, are unrestricted funds, so you could do something different with them if you wanted to. And this is why we need to have a conversation, because this was my idea in talking with our energy manager and our town council, but it's ultimately your decision. And so let me get back to the two pockets of money. The big pocket is the $865,000 from Eversource to cash out the credits. The smaller recurring funds are the cash out of the Nugent net metering agreement. That was the agreement you guys approved in May, where we are in partnership with Agawam. And so the way that works is Eversource sends us a check once a month. It includes Long Meadows solar credits, Agawam solar credits, and the administrative fee that we need to pay to Nugent. We take the money in, and then we cut the checks and disperse them out. Roughly, it depends on the tariff that's coming in for the solar credits that month, but over 4 months we have $274,000. So it's a healthy amount of money. That is a 20-year agreement with 2 5-year renewals. So if those renewals are exercised, that recurring funds are in place until 2044.
What kind of, let's say we did establish the fund, what can it be used for, and do we have guide rails? I looked at the statute, and it seems to be pretty broad.
It is, yeah. So if we go with this energy initiatives one. It would be projects that would reduce our use of greenhouse gas emissions. It could make improvements to, LED lighting upgrades, really kind of just like a mass save type thing that you do at your house. It'd be projects like that for municipal and school buildings.
But we're establishing what the fund is for.
Yes.
And so we can have that as broad or as narrow as language as we want.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
So, I honestly don't know. So it's established that this is money we can use for anything we want. So I'm not sure why we would restrict ourselves and create a fund when we could use it for anything we wanted, for example. So if it goes to free cash, we can use it for something in the future that we find is our top priority. If we go to put it in the operational stabilization fund if we want. I personally think, a few meetings ago we said we should prioritize the most important things with any found money. So maybe energy initiatives are one of those priorities if you tell us that that's what you think. Like, I think when we spoke last week, you mentioned mini splits at Greenwood would be a top priority for you. I think we all have said how important the DPW is to us, and I understand after thinking about it, you can't really support the DPW without recurring funds, but I think that if we have recurring funds, a segment of this, we should definitely prioritize the DPW. So I think that I don't see the need to create a fund that has restricted uses when we can use this money for anything that we think is our top priorities.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I would recommend we do. Like, we basically either take this money and you tell us, what you really, with this found money, what you really think is the best way to spend it now for the town. Or we can put it in the free cash and let the town decide later how to use it, basically. That's my 2 cents.
That was going to be a similar question I had, was about not restricting it, because I know there are things we've talked about, even in just the past 3 meetings, that we said were a big priority for us. And if we do have the flexibility to use that, that could be a big help. What's the benefit of creating this that does put a restriction on it?
So the revolving fund has to be somewhat specific. I don't believe we can create one. I'll defer to Ian, but I don't believe we can create one to just say Longmeadow priorities or something. It has to be specific enough so that we can make a determination that, not we, but the accounting and auditing can make a determination that it's an eligible use.
Okay.
Revolving fund, the benefit of it is that you're not going to town meeting for each expenditure out of it.
But we could do something like a revolving fund for energy efficiency, infrastructure, and DPW. Like, we could make it. We could
broaden it
that way, or is that not the way?
We would ask that you give us as much instruction as you could, and then we would take it back and verify that that would work.
Because it's more of a discussion with Department of Revenue to determine the legality of the revolving fund, because depending on the specificity of it is where they would say yes or no whether or not we can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Is it true that, to be honest, I don't think there's anything wrong with going to the town with deciding how to spend large amounts of money. I think I recognize that it's easier for us to be more nimble, perhaps. But if we're spending $100,000 on certain things, it's a town warrant article, and there's a benefit to having it vetted a little bit more and having it approved as well. I mean, I just feel like if that's the only way to get it to spend the money towards our highest priorities, which maybe now our highest priority is the DPW, in the future it might be something different.
Yeah.
I think that gives us the most flexibility, even though there might be an extra hurdle of literally asking the people for approval for it.
Sure, and I didn't mean to imply that would be why I wouldn't want to do the revolving fund. It's more about the timing. Town meeting is twice a year.
Yeah.
For example, we had an AC failure at the police station this summer. If we had this energy revolving fund, we could have
prepared that,
brought in a company and swapped it out with something much more efficient and gotten them back up and running quicker if we had the revolving fund to do that. If we were using town meeting, it would be an article on this.
To add to what Lynn's saying, it's also the timing of when free cash is certified. So there's only one time a year that free cash is certified to allow for that fiscal year. So once that period closes, we have to wait until the next fiscal year to have access to those funds again. So it's really a matter of how fast you want to have access to the funds. The funds would be essentially in the same place where you could use them for any legal purpose. It's more of a restriction of being able to access it at town meeting versus otherwise.
To me, it sounds like if we want to do this for the benefit of being able to use it, which thank you for clarifying that, it would be better or more in line with what we've said is our priority if we had a revolving fund to benefit the DPW or capital buildings, basically, instead of just specifically energy.
Yeah.
It seems to me if you said we did it's for the buildings, it's for the DPW, you could still accomplish your energy initiatives, but that gives you much more freedom to spend on things that we really think we need to in this day and age, basically.
I agree.
So this $1 million you said came from kind of two different pots. One pot was like the 240,000-ish, and that accrued over 4 months, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, and so we will expect that to continue accruing at that rate
Until 2044.
Okay, and then the 800,000, how long of a period did that accrue over?
From when we swapped to LED streetlights, so early 2020.
Okay, all right, so that's bringing in like 200,000-ish.
It's
a
accruing
year.
still, yeah.
Yeah.
We are paying for those credits out of a DPW line item. So, just, I mean, not that it matters for this conversation, but we do pay for them.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, I when I saw this too, I was wondering what the benefit was of creating a revolving fund for just clean energy projects, because I share the same sentiment as I think what Andrew was saying and Shelley as well, that I don't really see the benefit of restricting it. And I guess, besides, and I guess I would also want to know, is there an issue here with the timing of us needing to make this decision about the revolving fund? Obviously, it's just, if we put it off until May, we just can't access it until May, but do we need to make this decision? Are there any other consequences?
Yeah, great question. So what will happen, and Ian and I spoke about this earlier today, what will happen is we'll continue to take the monthly funds in. They will continue to go to general revenue. My guess would be that we would say to Eversource, cut us the check. That will also go to general revenue. So those amounts will hit free cash for November.
Next
A
November,
year
next
from now.
year.
Yeah. So you could wait until the annual town meeting in May and set up the revolving fund, and then we have a fund at least set up. I don't know if we have to fund it at the time, but
No.
we would have free cash left anyway
Right.
to do that.
You don't specifically have to fund it at the time, you can, but it's more of a matter of creating the fund first. That's the more important of the two.
So it's not incredibly time sensitive. I have not committed to Eversource yet, and partly because I was skeptical. I didn't want it to seem like it was too good to be true. But the more I've sat with it, the more I feel more comfortable having them cut us a check and having it in our control than leaving it with them. Yeah.
I'm happy to get the money for the town.
Yeah,
right
I
now.
actually like the timing of the November. I mean, we really don't know what funding's gonna be like next year. I think this gives us, if I'm thinking about this right, this gives the town an opportunity to leverage money on things that are important to us. If we wait till May, I don't know, I just think the way things are changing, this gives us a little more flexibility to make sure our town has what it needs when it needs it. I mean, I don't have a problem bringing it to November, but if others think we need more time to research it.
So do we have to describe within this article what the options might be for ideas of what we might fund?
Yes. We wouldn't necessarily need to give specific examples. It could be broad enough, and I think if there's enough consensus here to bring back to work on language that's to broaden to fund DPW and building infrastructure related projects.
So for example, if we had this and we have a couple $100,000 to fix the high school pool, you could have used it for that. We don't even have to have a warrant, right, article for that, because you could have just used it for that.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff is going to be constantly happening to us. So I think that this allows you to be nimble, and I don't think anyone's going to disagree that.
Which also means it'll be gone like that, though.
Yeah.
because you can spend it without consulting with us?
Yes, but we could put some parameters in there.
Interesting.
We could put some stuff in the explanation to put some parameters in there. If you want, expenditures over a certain dollar amount to come to you for approval, we could create that.
So we'd have like a separate policy for this?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the reserve fund for the finance committee.
I mean, we do something similar for change orders on large projects, which, those are big dollar amounts. Certain thresholds go to certain levels. We do something similar.
I wasn't worried about you frittering it away. I was just saying, if it can use for anything, it will be used for everything.
Mhm.
And it just won't last long. And I certainly understand what everyone's saying. There is something to, not that just because it's tidy to tie, that these are solar credits to clean energy, but clean energy, it saves us money too. It's something that sets us up for the longer term. If the mini splits or replacing an AC with a mini split is a great example, much more efficient, and you have a little bit of an installation cost, but over the long run, it lowers operation costs.
And we could still use it for that.
Yeah.
We can, but I'm just saying, if it's everything, if it's anything, it's everything.
We do have codes in town, right, that when we do work, we have to meet certain energy thresholds too, right? Like we were just meeting with Paul on that. So there are things that we still have to abide by that meet energy standards. So I agree with what you're saying, Josh, and I think that I do like the idea of having a policy for maybe over a certain amount. I think that can help build transparency with residents too. If it comes before a public meeting, they'll kind of know larger dollar amounts that we're spending it on. But to your point, we don't have to wait till the one or two of the town meetings that we have.
And how far can we go with this? Like, can we say that we can put this money towards like paving roads?
So that was going to be my next thing, is to say, this is a great conversation, but ultimately DOR is going to tell us how broad we can be and how specific we have to
Can
be.
we get more guidance on that by our next meeting?
Yeah, that's what we're. Yeah.
I mean, even things like, we've got a building study coming up.
Yep.
And if we decide to do something with one of those buildings, like this is seems like a pot of money that we could leverage. I just would want, all those options available.
Yeah.
All right, everyone comfortable with this one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks.
And Lynn, you have all the information?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
go ahead.
Thank you. Okay. So 5 is a work in progress. We need town council's help on this. And he's started reviewing today. So this would be to accept MGL 40U, which authorizes municipal fines. There's a lot of different chapters or sections in 40U, but essentially this is here for 2 reasons. I'll speak to one and then I'm going to ask Mike to speak to the other. One is, for those of you that might remember when we did our code book editorial and legal analysis, we found an issue with the sidewalk clearing bylaw. And we were charging $25 for a fine, but state law only allowed $10, or the state law we referenced in it only allowed $10. Accepting this chapter allows us to go up to $200. So we could decide to go back to that 25 if we wanted to. There was a lot of a lot of comments from people that $10 is nothing, like that's a silly amount. So that stuck with us, and especially with code enforcement, who's tasked with going out and making sure that sidewalks are shoveled. So this would fix that. And then the other one relates to fines.
For liens.
Yeah, so a fine, well, I guess fines, like the building department or code enforcement assesses a fine on something. 40U would allow us, there's a section in there that would allow us to, if that fine was not paid, to lien the property. Right now, we can't do that.
So would we be, in theory, taking 40U on the whole?
I believe so. It's section 2 that talks about local acceptance.
Yeah, and this is something I think we still have to run by James.
Yeah.
There are different, for instance, snow removal is section 5, but he said that 40U has to be adopted entirely in order to then accept the provisions of all the other sections.
Okay.
So we just have to get a little more information, I
Yep.
think, as to how we specifically accept all of the provisions of the additional sections.
One of the things, where I always think of our small town, one of the things you have to do is appoint a municipal hearing officer.
Yeah.
It's like an admin judge.
That's me.
Yeah,
So we already have one.
That's me.
So
It's in
people
my
could appeal-
contract.
People could appeal fines to you,
Yeah, it's already in my contract.
like you're not busy
yeah.
enough. I mean, as long as it's not us,
Yeah.
but.
We talked about it already.
Yeah,
Yeah, Mike
that's-
and I drew straws.
Yeah. But it wasn't my contract.
Yeah, okay. Well, I guess we'll,
Yeah. So this may also trigger some bylaw changes that we did not prepare for this warrant, but
Okay.
we're waiting to talk to Jay.
and is this something where E-code will help us out? Because if we're pointing to old codes, it would automatically update to this?
Oh, that's a good point. So the reason why this is coming about is because our general bylaw specifically doesn't say in accordance with MGL 85, which is the Department of Public Utility, or the Public Works, which authorizes the fine at $10, but the bylaw was written based off of that statute. So that bylaw would have to be reworked
Yep.
in order to be in accordance with the new statute that we're
Okay.
trying to accept, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So this one's a work in progress. We'll be back next time with more. The next article relates to the easements that are required for the Long Meadow Street Phase 1 tip project. So this would actually exercise those easements and then fund it. This is to allow that work to continue. This is also generally, once the easement process plays out, that's really the last local step. If you remember, you just dealt with this not long ago.
And there were 70 easements on that one. I think
Yeah.
there's 11.
And so what part of Long Meadow Street is this? Let's be looking at?
This is,
From Converse to Crescent?
yeah.
So much that probably.
And we did do a 25% design hearing. We invited every single property owner that was impacted by this project. We did an in-person meeting at Greenwood. It was lightly attended, but there was adequate notice and
Good conversation, I thought.
yeah. Article 7, which is a different one than you have, but this is the one related to the high school pool. So this, to fix the high school pool, to sign that contract, we took the funding, DPW used the streetlight account to provide a funding source to sign the contract. And so this would transfer money from free cash to the streetlight account so that we have enough money to keep paying those bills for the rest of this fiscal year. And the pool work is ongoing and is anticipated to be complete by the end of this month.
So the streetlight account is to fix streetlights?
This is to
Or,
pay the
the
bills
pay the
for this
electricity.
streetlights,
Okay.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
How-
also the account that's used to buy the solar credits.
Okay.
Okay, Article 8 for fire department. So this is two pieces in one. One is the overtime account. They're going to run short. We could wait and transfer in May at the annual town meeting, but we already know that they are going to run short. So that's why this is in here. And then the other piece that's in here that we should talk about was when Chief Rigney was here giving his department overview, spends a lot of time talking about staffing levels. This would fund the addition of 2 full-time firefighter paramedics to start in January. So we can have some discussion on whether or not that is the intent of the board to put that forward, but that is why that is here. Okay, Article 9 for CPA funding. This is really just to correct an error. At the annual town meeting, there was a warrant article that was part of a consent agenda for the CPA admin funds. It listed the wrong fiscal year in the warrant that was mailed to the households. The motions were correct. But because it was part of a consent agenda, out of an abundance of caution, we are putting forward an article that fixes that fiscal year.
I think whichever select board member had read this consent agenda should have caught that.
That was Mark.
Article 10 is the is funding the CPA buckets. This is a standard one we do every year.
And just for those watching, I think the article number is off by one.
Yes.
Because of the new copy, we added one more article as new Article 3, I think.
Yeah, did I? Oh, you know what? I clicked on your
Yeah.
website one.
Yeah, so we haven't reflected that new one yet.
So
but I'm
I
making
wasn't
changes
working
this
off the
afternoon.
live one. Okay.
That's all right.
So I'm sorry. There's a new Article 3. It's a bill of prior year for the work we were doing, the secondary work after the IT study. We rolled right into a payroll project. The bill came in for that consultant's work after we closed the fiscal year. So we need to pay that bill. So that it's $16,000. Okay, that you'll see that on a new draft that'll be circulated to you. But that was the one that was added late today. Okay. All right. 11, but I guess it's probably 12 on yours. Okay, so this is for Bliss Park Playground. So we received the Land and Water Conservation Fund grant to replace the playground at Bliss Park and do some stormwater improvements and ADA upgrades. It was a $1.6 million grant, of which $824,000 roughly is reimbursed by the federal government, Land and Water Conservation Fund. This grant is still operating. We still have these funds. We applied to the CPA grant for the match, the 824 match, and they gave us half. We applied to the Federal Funds Infrastructure Office. That is a new agency created by the governor. They were assisting communities with federal grant matches. We applied to them. They have not replied. Repeated requests, including attending an in-person event where I badgered them about the money. I don't believe they're going to make good on that match. So this grant, the grant is open now. It's a fiscal 26 grant. We need to get working on this. The playground has been ordered. We need to have the grant match available. So this would fund the $356,000 that we need to come up with.
So when would we receive the federal funds in theory?
It's a reimbursement grant, so.
At the end of the project?
No, we will, certain benchmarks, like first invoice, second invoice, as soon as we've contracted for the playground, so as soon as we get it, we'll submit for reimbursement.
So I guess my question was really, when do we find out if this goes away? And it could be early before we put a lot of money in.
We haven't lost it yet. We can keep waiting, but
I'm not saying we should. I just want, like, if we can find out once the design is done, and we spent money on the design, but then if we apply for a reimbursement and we find out that, oh no, that's not.
Sure.
That's no longer a thing.
So it's not just radio silence right now. There are quarterly reports that go to Land and Water. Well, they go to the state. The
DOER.
I think so. That's who it flows through. And so we've been in communication with the grant administrator there.
Although they haven't responded the past 6 days.
No, that's the state office,
okay.
our local state office. Yeah, we don't directly speak with the federal agency on it. State does.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure we don't get the rug pulled out.
And I just check on that, but I believe the reimbursement process is also quarterly, but it may be as invoices are available as well. I know they have a certain time frame that they have to reimburse, whether it's 45 days after submission or something like that. But we can verify that.
Okay. Article 13, reminding myself, this is to replenish the accounts that were used for the special town meeting and the special town election. All in, it was $50,000. Most of that is to reimburse the Finance Committee Reserve Fund, and then the town clerk had extra costs for election workers and,
Pole pads.
thank you, pole pad rentals. And then we needed to use some additional money from the IT department, to help pull this off. Okay, 14, this one is for the center school, windows. We have submitted an MSBA accelerated repair application. We are still going through that process. They had 90 applications. We made it down to the cut of 41. We've done on-site tours with them. We feel like we're very well positioned to get this grant. We have to commit our feasibility study money by, I want to say, January. And so this is on here. If by November 4th we find out we don't get it, I think they vote October 26th. If we find out we're not in the running, then we'll just take no action on this. But if we are in the process, this enables us to stay in that process. The nice thing is we have $300,000 or $292,000 sitting aside for the window project. That was a CPA grant years ago. That will be used to take care of this feasibility study. This language is specific MSBA language that they require. Article 15. This is to fund the DPW collective bargaining agreement. This was the adjustments to the wage scale, and also included in this article is the funding of a COLA for non-union personnel. When we initially prepared our 26 operating budget, the amount we had set aside for a COLA to make everything balanced while we saw how it all shook out is actually not enough to fund a COLA that is respectable to distribute. And so this would add to that funding and actually give a COLA that is keeping up with market conditions.
Question. Could you remind us what would happen if the town does not pass this? What was the stipulation in the agreement?
If this town does not pass this,
That they accepted?
I believe there is additional COLA on top of the DPW COLA for 26, if I remember right.
But it's less than this, basically.
It's less than this.
This is something they were willing to accept the will of the town, basically.
Yes, yes. Yes. Besides with the collective bargaining conversation aside, we've settled and we're moving forward with the new contract. But town staff collectively who bargained at the table felt very strongly about this, in support of it, because we want to address these vacancies. And this was based on a comparative analysis of other communities. This will position us well. We won't be the top pay, but we won't be the bottom three anymore. And so we do feel like this will make a big dent in attracting and retaining people. Okay, Article 16, this is 16, 17, 18, we have Sean here for these, but these are all water sewer projects. And so you've heard a lot about these in the past, these specific projects, and now it is the actual funding of these projects so that the design can get finished and they can get put out to bid for start during the next construction season.
So, and maybe Sean can answer this best. And Western, obviously, it doesn't have a lot of people on it, right? Only one side of the street. What is the importance of Western Drive in the project on the whole?
Sure. So that was one of the areas where we had tremendous amounts of water main breaks. It was labeled by Time Bond as a high priority area during their initial report given 2 years ago. It was also one where we knew we had to do the road paving and we didn't want to do one before the other. So combine the two projects and doing them in order this way seemed prudent. It's also, town was sort of built out from from like that's the Springfield line out, so that infrastructure is the oldest, so this is sort of the logical way of going about it. Unfortunately, we have a lot of other projects happen in the same area, but those lines are in terrible shape. Similar to Emerson, if you might remember, we had like 17 breaks on that little road, so it's long overdue.
Yeah, I remember from the study, I mean, the water mains were over 100 years old. And Ty and Bond were very concerned about that.
If you look at them, it'll break.
And we're past the options with the, I forgot the term for it.
Slip line.
Yeah.
We'll do that in the sewer section. So the water lines can't be done, that's not allowed legally, but the sewer sections that are in good enough shape to slip line will be slip lined. We figure that out by cameraing the areas. Some of it have to be pipe, but the areas that we can save, we will.
So is that something you figure out as you go?
We've already done that work.
Oh, okay.
So Article 16 is the water, it's 8.5 million. Article 18 is the sewer slip lining, and that's only 2.5 million. So it's a significant cost savings.
But the laterals for all this stuff has to be replaced too, so it's not just, going down the road, it's everything on each side. So the roads will be destroyed as a result of it.
And then the one sandwiched in between there, which will probably move around, is the water meter replacements. This has been on the capital plan since I've been here, and finally getting to the point where it's past a priority.
We're losing between 75 and 100 meters every time we read quarterly, and so it's creating a little bit of issue trying to get back to those houses, get permission to go in. Plus, they're already outdated. I don't believe this is the full replacement. I think it's only half, but we need some in inventory too, so we can keep going fixing them.
So when you do estimated reads, are you conservative in your estimates, or?
We go high and then we reimburse later if we get in there.
Oh, okay. So this will be more accurate, but it won't necessarily make us.
Well, we'll be able to read.
I was going to say, if they're dying, you can't.
Yeah, we go by and we'll
The
have
homeowner
80 or
doesn't.
100 houses with no reads.
Yeah.
So we're going by right now with the vehicle. This will make it so we don't have to drive by.
Yeah. Okay.
And they're beyond their useful life anyway already. So it's really expensive to have a company come in and do it for you. So it's not just us doing it.
Anything? All right. The floodplain bylaw. This is Article 19. This is coming back. This is really pretty critical at this point. But Mike and I have talked a lot about this, and Mike has spent a lot of time working with both Dean, our associate planner, and Leah, the conservation agent, to strategize an education plan so that the voters at town meeting go into the meeting already understanding what this is. It's not as dire as it was made to seem, meaning impacting of people's property.
Yeah, and this is, I wrote in here just for discussion purposes that it's pending the planning board public hearing tomorrow. It has to receive a unanimous recommendation from the planning board in order to make its way back onto the warrant. So assuming that they give a unanimous, just because of the time frame that it's been at a town meeting. So assuming they give a unanimous recommendation on the article, Wednesday morning, mailers and social media and abutters notifications will go out to anyone who's a floodplain zone, essentially. And there'll be a workshop in late October. I don't have the exact date on me right now, but late October there will be a workshop at the Greenwood Center, hybrid, where people can come and learn more about exactly what's happening, exactly what's changing. And we're also getting really strategic in how we write the definition and description as well, because it's on top of what we're doing to make sure that we meet the model Massachusetts state floodplain. It's more just describing what is changing with these updates this year. So it's essentially the same exact bylaw that was brought to town meeting.
Which was defeated because abutters or floodplain residents spoke against it. So if we can get around that.
So those residents are getting engaged directly, which I think is very positive.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you to Dean and Leah for coordinating that.
Okay. And now 19, I think it's 20, 21, and 22. These are ones that you will need to decide. These are carryovers from discussion we had in June. Essentially, 20 is adding a recall petition. I have had a lot of conversation with town council. Recall through a special act can be select board positions can be included. So we have to decide this, the way this is written is without select board. So you could do that. If you want to, I did not do any more work on these because I was not sure if you wanted these to stay on here. If you do, then we'll work them up a lot more before your next meeting. So that 20 is recall. 21 is to remove the housing authority as elected, an unelected body. And then 22 is to remove planning board as an elected body. And so these were conversations we had over this.
So can you
June.
remind us what, regarding 21 with the recall, what stipulations would there be? And why is it that we used to think that we couldn't include the select board, but now we can?
The special act, I believe.
Yeah, I had thought through what I had read and conversations I had that it was only possible through a charter review commission.
Right.
Town council feels otherwise, and they're the attorney. So through a special act, we can do it.
So would this specify what would happen to what would be required to recall people?
Yes.
Can you clarify what that is?
So in this, well, this example would need to change because it excludes it excludes the select board. But you could. There's many examples from other communities. I think it's 15% or there's different thresholds.
So you
there's
haven't
certain
actually
things that
chosen,
have to be met.
like, which one? You right now you just want to know if we want to proceed with this.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
then you'll suggest some, like, would this specify the way it would happen, or just?
Yes,
Okay.
and I don't believe that would be changing. One of the areas that you could change is whether or not someone needs to have a reason for petitioning for recall. Some communities require it and some do not, and some require that it be vetted by town council to be a legal reason. So that is a slippery slope, and I was cautioned against needing a reason. But you guys could if you wanted to.
So this is
It's 250 voters and 25 from each precinct, at least 25 from each precinct, which I think spreading among the precincts is a good idea. I don't know. 250 doesn't seem like a lot of voters.
And I'm sorry, were you saying it's 15% of voters?
I haven't read this fully in a while. There's different steps. There's the initial petition. There's initial signatures to get the recall in front of you, and then
In front of the town for a vote, right?
and then you have to within so many days you have to schedule a special town meeting,
So is it?
and then there's an election.
Is it was it 15% of voters? What the 15% was? I just don't remember.
Signed by at least 10%.
It spells it out in here.
Yeah. The reason why
It says recall procedures.
I think when we copied it over, it didn't format in the way that it used to, so we'll have to
It
go
has
back.
page numbers in it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's somewhere different. Okay,
It's a
sorry,
mess.
I don't have that on this.
I
Yeah,
am
this
not
is a copy from
against.
another town.
I'm not against adding a recall provision, but I think I'd be in favor of it. I just want to make sure we're doing it right. And like I've thought about it, and I'm a little worried that we're not giving ourselves enough time to chew on this.
Yeah, Jay expressed some of that today in an email that he thought.
Special act was too quick or something
Yeah.
like that, yeah.
And then it also might be more of an annual town meeting thing.
Yeah, I think you're right. The annual town meeting is enough, and we also have more of a turnout for as well.
In theory, like this one, especially this meeting, we just had a huge town meeting. I'm really worried that there's nothing that's gonna fire people up to be there. Especially these, which would be late in the warrant. I'm worried that we're gonna have a real small percentage of town making a pretty big decision. And I wanna make sure we.
And that's fine. I think May is fine, but I also think like this isn't. Given what's gone on in the last calendar year, I mean, I think that it wouldn't. I think the vast majority of people would find no objection to having a process that we lacked. And
Sure.
so and I think that, I think it's responsive to kind of consider doing it in November myself. I mean, I certainly think the select board should be included, but I don't know the I mean, this is, now that we're actually looking at it, I'm not that familiar with the legalities of it and rushing it, if that has any ramifications that are negative, but.
Is having any procedure worse than having, or better than having a bad procedure? That's just what I'm worried about.
You mean giving us time to kind of talk about how it would happen?
Yeah.
Just how much time would we realistically have? One more meeting to discuss this?
Right.
Yeah.
We have to close it in 2 weeks.
And I don't think the timing, it would matter, meaning this won't pass in time, go through all the steps before the May meeting anyway.
Okay.
Like, so I don't
It
think.
wouldn't be like instantaneous now.
Right. So I think you're okay.
Right, because it still need to be reviewed
To
by
wait.
the Attorney General.
Yeah.
If it was formatted as a special act, it would still need to be reviewed by the AG's office prior to being submitted to the legislator anyway.
Okay.
We just didn't want to forget, we hadn't had this conversation again since June or early July. And then the same goes with the Housing Authority and Planning Board.
I thought that when we talked about this during the summer, that it had come up that we couldn't make the housing authority unelected.
I remember that too being supposed to say.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember that conversation.
There was a conflicting bylaw with the charter. Well, I'll have to look back at that, but there was something that conflicted in the bylaws to the charter that stated the composition of the housing authority, and it was different. So either way, we're gonna have to do, whether it's vice versa, we're gonna have to do a bylaw change to accompany a charter change, or charter to accompany a bylaw. There was something there that I can't think of right now, but I think it had to do with the composition, the makeup of the board.
Yeah,
because it
because I
changed.
thought it was spelled out in MGL that it had to be elected and had to be elected with a certain composition.
Yeah, because there's 3 elected positions, there's 1 government appointment, and there's also 1 tenant member.
I'm remembering this now, and I think it has to do with it being a town or a specific size town, something like that, but I'll go back and refresh my memory, and it'll either stay on here or it won't. And then, yeah. And
I mean, my thoughts on those two are, I think, go along with the recall provision. I also think that, at least in my mind, the ball has gotten rolling a little bit on a charter commission. I know that I heard from somebody who wants to gather the petitions, or the signatures to petition to follow the statutory way to make a broader change. And another thing that Lynn and I have talked about, and Shelley was interested in as well, was having, I can't remember what's the
form
group
of
that-
government committee.
Yeah, form of government committee come in and tell us about other forms of government. And I definitely do not want to say we shouldn't make our current form of government as good as possible while we're doing it, but I think there is on the horizon, there's going to be a bigger conversation. But as Andrew said, people want this, and we should be reactive to people wanting this. I just want to make sure we're doing all these, because these would be pretty big changes, and I want to make sure that we're not just doing it without a whole lot of thought.
And I think that's very appropriate, especially since, we should, if we're considering the planning board, I don't think we've formally asked the planning board members actually exactly what they think. Not that, I'd be curious. I think some are maybe for it, some may not be.
I know, Bruce
So,
Colden is
yeah.
very much against it, I know that.
So we should hear them out as well. So that's a reason to take our time, I guess.
Okay.
All right.
Anything else on the warrant?
Well, I mean, I think that, okay, so I think that these articles need to be voted on together, like the recall of the planning board. I honestly, I think I feel more like Andrew does, that I don't necessarily think that this needs to wait until May, but I would like to just have this in better position. And if it is possible to get this worked up about what a recall would look like, where we can discuss this in 2 weeks, then I think we should do that.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to do I'm still, I see what you're saying, definitely. If we're at a point where like the town manager's office can give us a kind of a plug and play, like here's what
Other towns did.
Yeah, here's what other towns do. Here's like an example, and all you need to do is fill in the percentages or the number of voters, something like that. Then we could look at it, but I still think that's a lot of work for 2 weeks. But if it can be done, then yeah, I'm happy to take a look at it. The other two, I do not, I don't think they're necessarily part and parcel. I think those are different changes.
Yeah, I mean, there are different changes, but I think it's, all part of kind of the same effort of like rethinking how, just how we're electing folks and holding folks accountable. And I think if we're talking about, getting people to come to a town meeting, it's kind of under that, saying that of like, this is an opportunity to kind of have your voice heard about how we hold folks accountable, how we elect folks. And kind of like take care of that in one meeting as opposed to maybe separating those articles out from, two different meetings.
And if it does make it, I think it probably should be pushed up too, rather than at the very end. And I know this is, we're just kind of putting these together, right? But yeah, I think that would probably drive more interest early on in the meeting as opposed to at the end.
Yeah, and I will say, I mean, I think the interviews that we had for the planning board, that we had 5 or 6 really good applicants, just makes me feel even more so that the planning board should be appointed. I know that you asked them whether they would have ran, and they, some of them said they would. I don't know if they actually would have, because I think you just kind of look back at the record and see, how this works. Last year we had a school committee appointment that brought out a lot of great candidates, and it's just kind of a pattern. I think that when we put out, when we're filling it by appointment, we just get more candidates.
Another way to think of it, Josh, is again, we're not deciding that this is what's going to happen. We're giving the town an opportunity to debate it, basically. And I think I'm still okay with going to May if legally, like, this isn't something we want to whip together like on the fly. But if we could come up with something that was reasonable, like that Lynn presented with us next time, if we could invite the planning board to come tell us share their thoughts if they have any, then if we felt like confidence that legally we made a good choice, especially if other towns have done it a certain way and there's precedent for it, then we can. I'm very curious to see what the debate would be like on the town floor.
My issue with that is that that's our legislature, and that's supposed to be up for debate. But I would say 99.5% of things we put on the warrant pass, and so.
But this is one that I think would actually be debated.
To a certain extent, yeah, I think so. But
and it might not even pass. I probably would, but
I think it would, and that's why.
And that's why I think we should be comfortable
right.
acting, because this year has been very tumultuous.
Exactly, and that's I don't like putting things on there, and I think I've learned from my years going to town meeting that you can't just rely on. We can't rely on the conversation getting to swaying people at that point, and especially some people just tune it out, and moving it up in the warrant does help. But fall special
by
town
the
meetings.
same token, you made this point before, which is actually very good. Like, you don't want to go there and with something that's half baked and then get it voted down, and then in the future it has like a bad taste in your mouth. It's like it's probably better to do it right.
I don't know what is going on. I'm sorry, Andrew. It's really bothering me.
Well, I mean, to present the town in the right way might be, I'm ambivalent, but.
And this is something that is very fresh in people's heads, why we need this. But that's all the more reason to do it right. And so, I certainly come into these things with open mind. I think you guys have convinced me that maybe we should, maybe it is more important. But we just got to make sure we have something really palatable at the next meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say like 2 things. I think the first is that obviously other towns have this in place, and so we can just draw from other towns. It's not something that we're like creating, wholly new. So that gives me some amount of confidence that we can maybe have something at our next meeting to discuss that looks like it's in good shape to bring to town meeting. And then the second thing is that, this has been talked about for a good amount of the year. People have been already thinking about this, And I think that, we do have a responsibility to, move these things forward and bring them to the town, and not just say, oh, this one incident was kind of, past us now, we're gonna kind of forget about this or delay this. I do think that it's incumbent upon us to show forward momentum and, to be acting on these things.
Just so we can close out the housing authority conversation before, so Jay gave us insight to that back in June when we were first discussing it. So we can't make the housing authority appointed because the statute says that they're elected, and there's a list of elected officials that can be converted to appointed, and they're not on it. So that's why he struck it. But however, we do need one bylaw change to match the 2022 charter amendment. So that's still outstanding that we need to bring back eventually.
All right.
And then, are we not going to put the specialized stretch code on the warrant?
So the Energy and Sustainability Committee is meeting Thursday night. They are discussing it based on the public information session they did. And then they will make a recommendation to you all if they want it to come forward.
I know Shelley's talked to Andrea and Sova and Andrew as well. That, and maybe all five of us, I don't know. But the meeting was not, I think Andrew was the
I
only.
was the only attendee. Basically.
Only attendee, which this is something, and this is where I know Andrew and I discussed what happens if something doesn't pass.
Yeah.
It's very hard to bring it back. And so if this is something that's very important, the outreach just hasn't happened, and maybe people are not that interested in it.
Well, and we, I met with Paul and Lynn last week, right? Last week, they're flying by. And Paul is going to attend the meeting on Thursday night as well. We talked about some of the things they want to put forward in that stretch code. We want to talk through kind of just feasibility of enforcement, timing, education around public. We're trying to partner with them to come up with a different timeline for kind of coming forward with the stretch code. But again, I think we got to have that conversation on the 9th with the group to see what they ultimately decide. But we are encouraging them that way, Josh, to say, hey, I think there's got to be more resident outreach. We have to do more education. Probably have to build a little bit of a longer timeline there for that, because it's a big stretch code that they want to put forward. So we are partnering with them to help them avoid that, bringing something forward, leaving people with a bad taste in their mouth. But we're trying to help them see that maybe there's some more things they have to do that could position it better going before our warrant. So we'll see where that conversation lands on the 9th.
Okay, thank you. Good update.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that wasn't us holding them up, because
No.
I know that when we discussed this a year ago, we asked certain questions of them. I think they've answered those questions about this replacing the current stretch code, that the effective date would be 6 months after adoption, and that they would have members there at town meeting to answer questions. And then also I think Andrew mentioned that a year ago that he would have liked them to do public outreach,
Yeah,
and they've
that was
made these
they did
attempts
it.
to-
They can't be
to
faulted
do it.
for effort. I mean,
Right.
it's just there's
Absolutely.
zero. There was like there's
And-
just not a lot of interest in learning about it, and it's I mean, we can all learn about it, but it's a significant. There's a lot of requirements, right?
It's a
And people need to
significant
understand what it
change.
is, because if you go into a town meeting without knowing what it is, there's always going to be someone opposed, and they're going to be very adamant about whatever they believe, and it's people should kind of know what it is before it's put out in front of everybody.
If you put in a gas stove, you have to have solar panels.
Yeah,
on new
so I
construction.
mean, I
Like,
could,
just
I
that,
could,
people
I'm
would
happy
say,
to tell more people.
If you
Yeah,
if you
if
put
there's
in,
any fossil, I mean, I'm happy to tell. The meeting is televised, so people can go learn about it. But
but just as
there's
an
a lot
example,
of
if your house burned down and you wanted to rebuild, if you put in a gas stove or any fossil fuels in the house at all, you have to have solar panels. I think if somebody said that at the meeting, people would say, well, I'm not going to vote for this. And that's not necessarily the outcome we want.
And that's not actually, as I've spent a lot of time actually since then learning more about it, that's actually not, that's exactly what someone could use to kind of have a quick soundbite and get people to rally against it. But the reality is it's just trying to steer people towards all electric, like mini splits, things that are very efficient. But if you don't understand that, because it's a second order thing to understand that, you just grab something like what you just said,
Mhm.
and it's alarming.
And
I
at
mean,
a town meeting, sound bites can go a long way.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
We're gonna talk with them on the 9th, and we'll see where we land.
Great. All right, anything else on the warrant? All right, Chief Stocks, thank you for waiting.
Sorry.
Did not think it would go this long. We could have moved you up, but yeah. Thank you. So we're talking about e-bikes and e-scooter discussion with a possible bylaw draft, but we are not going right to a bylaw. We wanted to have a preliminary discussion first.
Yeah, so again, thank you for having me. This has been a topic that's kind of been percolating for a while now. I think we've all gotten concerned citizens. I'm sure you guys have heard from it. I've heard from them. As you can see, the proliferation of e-bikes and motorized scooters in town. These kids are flying around town now. Pretty dangerous. Knock on wood, we really haven't had an issue yet, but I think we should probably get in front of this and try to get ourselves kind of aligned as far as what we want to do in town. It's such an issue Commonwealth-wide, I'm sure nationwide, but I only really keep a finger on the pulse of the Commonwealth. The Mass Chiefs of Police issued like an advisory kind of letter, kind of giving us guidance on how to address these issues. Typical Commonwealth things, nothing's quite as clear and easy as we like it to be. But basically, I won't bore you to tears. I know it's late. So e-bike is classified as a Class 1 or Class 2 right now. Other states have 3 and 4, but basically it means Class 1 is basically it's a bike that has pedal power, and it can't go over 20 miles an hour. Class 2 e-bike could just be like a throttle basically on the handlebars. Anything after that falls into moped, motorized scooter as a catch-all. So basically what we're seeing in town, as I'm sure you guys are aware, these e-bikes by state law cannot be on sidewalks. So there's that misnomer out of the gate. I think parents are buying their kids these e-bikes and kind of letting them free and thinking, we'll just stay on the sidewalks to be safe. So right out of the gate, we kind of got a violation right there. No e-bike is allowed on the sidewalk, and that's state law. Additionally, e-bikes have to abide by all motor vehicle laws, just like any other bicycle out there. The other area I found is a little bit convoluted right now is the motorized scooter bylaw that we have in town that was passed some years ago. I don't think we realized at that time where we were going with that or how many scooters were going to be in town. But as it's written, a motorized scooter, believe it or not, includes those little razor scooters that kids have. That's technically a motorized scooter, which means you have to be 16 years old with a permit and helmet. And full disclosure, I'm not out there enforcing that because, it seems like every other household has at least 3 of those. So what I'm proposing, and I spoke with the town manager about this briefly, if everyone was on board, but I think what I'd like to do is kind of do like a full blitz kind of campaign first and foremost, do an educational kind of thing, social media. If I can, maybe do we call them bike rodeos. My Sergeant Danielle Rex Bernash is really good in getting out in the community. Maybe try some kind of like just grassroots effort to get just education out there. Obviously, it's my lane and my domain to enforce these things, but ideally, it starts with the parents. I think, whether intentional or not, I think a lot of parents are just buying the kids things, not realizing what these speeds can be, and they're not educating their kids on, the laws. And these kids shouldn't have to know it. When you're 10, 12, 13 years old, I don't think you need to be bored to tears with the paperwork that I see, but maybe an educational campaign right out of the gate should be helpful. And then from there, if we can bring in maybe area, bike stores, maybe kind of make it a full swing kind of thing where if I can get it done, it's get the social media hook into these kids so that we get it out there. Maybe work with the schools. I don't know if the superintendent O'Shea would work with me on that and kind of get the messaging out that way. I think starting there with education first and foremost. I think the last thing any police officer wants to do is chase down a kid on an e-bike or a scooter and that's clearly going to have I think a detrimental effect, and I don't think that's what anyone's wanting. But I'm here, I'm all ears, love to hear your feedback, but I know it's something that it's been kind of on the horizon. We're getting closer to. I want to do something a little bit more than just kind of keep my fingers crossed. So.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to have this conversation, because I was walking down outside of the football stadium. I dropped off my kids. They went to go get ice cream, and I was walking back, and 2 teenagers on bikes came ripping past me in the dark with no lights on, and it just they didn't hit me, but it was close, and somebody's gonna get hurt, and that's really, I don't want that to happen on our watch, and when there's something we could have done about it. But what I'm worried about is that we've already reached critical mass. There's so many out there. The other day when the schools were closed, I was driving past Big Y, and on the side of it, on the Williams side, there was, it looked like a biker gang on the e-bikes, but there was probably 6 or 8 kids just hanging out and like sitting on their bikes and looking like they were Harleys, and and then they're all getting on the sidewalk riding together. I know that from talking to Lynn, the first thing she asked me was, well, how are we going to enforce this? And I said, I don't know. And that's why I wanted to open up to the board and talk about this, because education is great, but I don't know how much these things cost, but if a parent buys their kid a $2,000 e-bike, they're probably not going to say, okay, you can't use it anymore, especially if they can't use it until they're 16. So, but if they're out not following traffic laws or on the sidewalk, which they shouldn't be anyway, and they hurt somebody, then, well, maybe what could we have done? And I don't want us thinking that way. Yeah. Do we want to, you giving tickets to kids? No, but I don't know what the next step is. Asking who their parents are, giving them a ticket. I don't even know if that's possible. Maybe we need a bylaw for that, or confiscation. Putting, if we see it being written, we're going to take it. You can pay $100 to get it out of the lockup. That's a lot of work for our police department, and as you say, it's not great for community relations. But we have to do something, I think, because I'm sure this is happening all over the state. So I was wondering if you know also what other towns are doing for enforcement. What are you hearing?
So they're taking the same approach as I just indicated, kind of thing. Like, again, police officers, unfortunately, part of our job is to be the enforcer at some point. But Longmeadow and many communities are all based on the community policing aspect, and that's really our cornerstone. So, I don't want to sound like a guy that always shies away from enforcement, but if I can get to the same, goal line by doing the right thing and maybe just doing the learning phase. But you're right, Mr. Levine. Certain times maybe a ticket will be in place. The other thing I would also suggest is potentially maybe put this a little bit on town council, see what their feedback is about implementing certain bylaws. The framework as far as enforcement is pretty much there as far as e-bike. Like I said, anything up to 20 miles an hour is an e-bike, and it has to be, treated as just like any other bicycle on the roadway, but it can't be on the sidewalk. A pedal bike can be on the sidewalk. Where it gets a little murky is those bikes that are going over 20 miles an hour. And
so a pedal bike going over 20.
Yes.
Now it turns into a motorized bicycle, which then opens up a whole new framework, which is, and again, in the way the motorized scooter, the Commonwealth actually intentionally created the definition of a motorized scooter to be kind of all-encompassing. Class 1 and 2, like I indicated earlier, is just a pedal bike with no more than 20 miles an hour, but maximum speed. Then everything falls under motorized scooter, which is like those, believe it or not, those one-wheeled skateboards, the Razor scooters. I mean, all those little things that a lot of these kids are just enjoying, and they're getting quick out there. But those things all technically fall under motorized scooter, which opens up a whole new thing. So again, I'm not trying to. I agree with you 100%. I don't have the perfect answer right now, but I was, like I said, in consultation with Lynn and some of my counterparts in other cities and towns, try that, initiate the initial just campaign. Let's just, I'm talking a full blitz, like let's get it out there. Mm-hmm. Maybe that thing which I've heard there exists, like that Longmeadow open forum or something, I don't know what that is, but maybe they can pick up on it, and that seems to get a lot of chatter. So if I can kind of tap that.
I do think education, public education, even through the schools, however we can do that, because I have talked to parents and I do have
family in town with young kids, I don't think all parents realize some of the laws that are already in place. For example, some of the e-bikes that go really fast shouldn't be on sidewalks. I don't think all parents are aware of that because they're thinking of it as a bike regardless of how expensive it is and how fast it goes. I don't think everyone's up to speed on Mass General Law like some people are in this room. So I do think education could be really helpful, and also education for children, because I think what they're not thinking about is not only do these bikes go really fast, which I'm sure is really cool, I think what they don't realize is they're also really heavy. So when you do kind of collide with someone, it's not like a regular 10-speed bike colliding. There's actual harm that can happen. So I'm sure there's a way for us to educate families in general in the town around more responsible ways to kind of operate these that could help with some of what we're seeing. Because I do know people saying, oh, I didn't realize so-and-so's bike wasn't supposed to be on the sidewalk. I got to talk to them about that because I thought they could ride it on the sidewalk. So that, if we could kind of see if that helps, I do agree there's probably something else we will maybe need to evolve to, but I think an educational program is a great starting point.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to imply, I don't think it is. Because you're right. Like,
Yeah.
if it went through, especially if Marty sent out an email, there's going to be a lot of it is just ignorance. So a lot of parents are going to say, huh, I had no idea. So that's absolutely a great start. And anything else that you all can do to, you have a great relationship and in the community, people respect our police department and I think if they can, and you have a good way of telling people things in a calm and kind manner. I think that would be very helpful.
Yeah, I agree that. I think the approach that you've outlined is the way to go. I guess my question is, what is going to be the focus of the messaging? It's not as simple as saying don't smoke cigarettes or something.
Right.
So how are you going to message this?
So again, what I've learned in my 5 years now is, and I'm not taking full credit for it, but I've really tapped into the social media thing. Not to sound like a broken record here, but obviously that's my conduit to get out to the community. And then even the naysayers I'm finding, not anecdotally, I told this to Lynn earlier. I said, we did a crosswalk enforcement last week, and I put a quick video out. And
Amazing video, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We got tremendous feedback, but there's always that group that's the naysayers. And I'm sitting there, and I made the mistake of reading some of those. I was like, are you kidding me? And the negative feedback, and at first I was taken aback, and then I realized that got people talking about it. So regardless of whether they liked it or not, to me, I hit the mark, because it got people thinking crosswalk, and maybe the next time they drove through that area, they'd be cognizant and maybe slow down. So like it or not, like me or not, I don't get it. It worked, I think. So to that point, what I would do is something similar to, I don't know if I can talk my guys. I mean, technically I could direct them to do it, maybe doing a video of bike safety. That's tough. But something to the effect of, I do want to get something where you get their attention. I think this is a hot topic that, it's made it here tonight. I think this has been on a lot of dinner table conversations. I think this is happening, and there was a news story out east where a kid got hit, and there's video of it, and it was pretty dramatic. So that got, it's like, so I don't want to go that way. I won't show that video, but I think it's enough. It's at the forefront where we got to do something. So I'd probably take a messaging of, hey, parents, are you aware of this? Maybe do bullet points. And I don't know if we can do a video, Mike, again. I don't know. We'll see.
And so would the key points are, the messaging be, get these e-bikes off of the sidewalks?
So it would be hitting the points of like we had discussed. Some people just aren't aware. There's some parents out there that maybe just be they don't care. But I don't think that's the case. I think the majority of people, like I said, are just buying the kid a bike, thinking this is safe, it's healthy. I'm getting the kid outside the house. He's away from the gaming station. He's out there, on his bike, or her on her bike. But I think it's that. I just got to tap into that. Are you aware that these bikes can go this speed? Are you aware this bike can't be on a sidewalk? Are you aware that they have abide by the same rules of the road as a car? You have to stop at stop signs. You can't just go zipping across, crosswalks and intersections. So ride on the same side of the street at nighttime, have lighting, wear a helmet. It's a lot of information, so I haven't figured out what I'm going to do yet. But I figured I'd start there. Like I said, maybe perhaps. Unfortunately, our first responder night, we did that last month, so that would have been a good time to hit it up, but it was just one of those things. We did a bike helmet handout, I think it was last year or 2 years ago, where we had someone donate a bunch of helmets, so But I can try to do something like that again. But again, it's the classic Long Meadow thing. That sounds too corny, but I'm thinking let's just get down there on the streets and either put a tent up at the shops. Maybe on a weekend we're running out of good weather, but something to that effect.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree that I think that this is something that everyone's talking about, and people don't really know what's going on with it, and I think receiving any kind of guidance people would be receptive to, and receiving like the facts and the laws about it. Yeah.
Without trying to be super repetitive, like I hear from it a lot too. A woman just a couple nights ago reached out to me, and she's like what Shelley was saying. She's going through Mass General Law, and it's very conflicting. But I think what Josh was saying too, like if you can get to Marty and get Marty on board to if he's doing a blast, or even the school committee gets engaged with this too. Because I mean, I don't think any of us we don't have the perfect answer. It's still new, but I mean, yeah, they're all over the place. To Shelley's point, these are like 3 times as heavy as a regular bike as well.
Yeah. I think there's probably lots of opportunities to communicate. I mean, we're going into winter, so hopefully kids won't be scooting around like that. But beginning of spring, schools maybe would want to partner with having pamphlets that go home, or maybe it's part of like a spring assembly to say, hey, remember, if you're riding your bike or your scooter or an e-bike, you have to be careful. Just kind of those iterative kind of reminders to families that, or I know there's adults that ride them too, anyone really.
Yeah, we did discuss the timing, the season. But to your point, the winter is coming, so that may alleviate some of the concern and complaint for a while. So I may do like a step, like, okay, we'll do an initial kind of plant the seed, and then come springtime, re-hit it up again, and just keep at it and let just notification be out there for the community.
Less Christmas or holiday gifts of e-bikes. We're gonna reduce them off the streets by.
Hey, for real though, like hey, think about it, before you buy this for your kid, think about it. They're not gonna be.
Well, I did have one parent say, if I knew that, I would not have bought that bike. I did not realize it went that fast, and I did not realize they weren't supposed to be on the sidewalk. I wouldn't have spent all that money, and then they said, but I did, so now what?
Right.
So I think there's a lot of families in that.
Could dress up as the Grinch.
The e-bike pack is
It's my nickname anyways, so, you know.
So moving forward, I think if discussions with town council or other chiefs, and the town manager's office can look at this, if there's a bylaw we should consider to make, even just to make things more specific or clear to people, I think that could be useful. So, because if right now you have to look at a couple different places to kind of get the information together, maybe if it's all in one place, even that would be helpful. But enforcement is not, I think rightly, is not your focus. So right now we can look at education, how to best accomplish that.
No, I agree. And like I said, the only issue with the bylaw would be, we can't enact something obviously that conflicts with state law. So there is quite a bit of framework in there as far as what can and cannot be done. I think the loopholes are like certain areas of, we don't have a lot of in Long Meadow per se, but it's the trails and woods and things like that. We could either ban them completely or allow them with speed limits and things like that. So, but I don't know if that's really germane to our issue that we're speaking of right now. We're more concerned about the streets and the kids and the cars. So, but let me do some more digging on that one.
Okay. And my wife just sent me a message. Wednesday is bike to school day, so that could be a good time to. There's usually meetup points. I know that the center meets up at the library. If they can have somebody there, it doesn't have to be a police officer, but somebody just giving that information there, that could be really useful.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea.
Does taking an inventory or like having these bikes registered, does that do anything for, like when you register your vehicle and you pay an excise tax?
Honestly, we've gotten away from that. That was something that was big in like the 70s and 80s. They used to put a little sticker on the bike, and it was a couple bucks. I think there was some revenue generated from it, and it assisted us if you found the bike, you could track the owner down. I think we've gotten away from that. I don't know if I can't remember the last time we've done that. Not a bad idea. Not to bore you, I know we got plenty of time. Every e-bike is supposed to be manufactured by law, has to have a decal on it, indicates its speed and its power source and all that. So, you know, if I can get this campaign out, let people know, hey, you shouldn't go over 20 miles an hour. Most of these bikes are going over 20 miles an
Very
hour.
good, so they can just look at it and say, oh, wow, this says 30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, another piece that I can put out to say, hey, by the way, did you know, kind of thing, so.
Yeah, that's great.
They're buying aftermarket stuff too and adjusting it.
Oh,
You-
wonderful.
Yeah.
It's not just like the bike is coming that way. Just go on Amazon and you find everything you need for it.
Huh.
Interesting. Yeah.
All right, anything else for Chief Stocks while we have him? All right.
Thank you for staying
Thank you.
so late.
Oh, thank you for having me.
We'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Put you earlier.
But now it'll be old business.
Old business, that's right, yeah.
That's right.
Much earlier.
Thank you again.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. All right, anything else from the board before we, no? All right.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
And anything further? All those in favor?
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.